Selamat pagi, sambil menunggu acara dimulai, saya perwakilan dari PSM Unimus akan menampilkan satu lagu dari Afgan, yaitu Terima Kasih Cinta. Yang tahu lagunya silakan nyanyi bareng-bareng. Di dalam sepiku, kau telah jauh berada. Cahaya kasihmu menuntunku kembali dalam dekap tanganmu. Terima kasih cinta untuk segalanya kau berikan lagi. Kesempatan itu takkan terulang lagi. Semua kesalahanku yang telah menyakitimu. Tanpamu tiada berarti. Kau telah jauh di sini. Cahaya kasihmu menungguku kembali dalam dekat tanganmu. Terima kasih cinta untuk segalanya kau berikan lagi. Kesempatan itu takkan terulang lagi. Semua kesalahanku yang pernah menyakitimu. Oh, oh. Untuk segalanya kau berikan lagi. Kesempatan itu takkan terulang lagi. Semua kesalahanku yang telah menyakitimu. Terima kasih.
The Honorable Distinguished Speakers, Rector of Universitas Muhammadiyah Semarang, represented by the Dean of Faculty of Foreign Language and Culture, all participants and distinguished guests. Good morning, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We would like, first of all, to say thank you very much for gathering here and welcome to the second English Language and Literature International Conference, Education 4.0, Trends and Futures Perspective in English Language Education, Linguistics, Literature and Translation, in which I'm as a Master of Ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, let us take a moment in silence to listen to Quran recitation of Surah Al-Mujadilah 11 by Mr. Imam Nurul Faqih.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا الذين آمنوا إذا قيل لكم تفسحوا في المجالس إذا قيل لكم تفسحوا في المجالس وافسحوا يفسح الله لكم وإذا قيل انشزوا فانشزوا يرفع الله الذين آمنوا منكم يرفع الله الذين آمنوا منكم والذين أوتوا العلم درجات والله بما تعملون خبير والله بما تعملون خبير صدق الله العظيم. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to request you to all rise because we would like to commence by singing the national anthem of Indonesia, Indonesia Raya and Muhammadiyah Hymn Sang Surya. Thank you, and kindly be seated. As the warmest welcome to all guests and participants, let us invite the English Department Choir singing Gambang Semarang. Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy.
Semarang kota pantai, Semarang indah permai. Hai, empat penari kian kemari, jalan berlenggang, aduh,
langkah gayanya
menurut suara
irama gambang,
sambil bernyanyi, jongkok berdiri, kaki melintang,
aduh, sungguh jenaka gayanya.
waktu mereka tari berdendang, bersukaria, kelak tertawa, semua orang karena hati tertarik ke krik si tukang kendang. hati menjadi senang.
Itulah dia ya Tuhan.
Malam gembira, kembang semarak. Empat penari kian kemari, jalan berlenggang.
Aduh, langkah gayanya
Menurut suara irama gambang. Sambil bernyanyi, jongkok berdiri, kaki melintang.
Aduh, sungguh jenaka gayanya.
Waktu mereka tari berdendang, bersukaria, gelak tertawa, semua orang karena hati tertarik dekrik si tukang kendang. Empat penari membikin hati menjadi senang. Aduh,
Itulah dia ya Tuhan.
malam gembira, kembang semarak.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, to welcome all distinguished guests and participants, we would like to welcome Mr. Dodi Mulyadi as the chairperson of the committee.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Honorable speakers, Honorable Rector of Onimus, represented by the Dean of FEBA, Faculty of Language and Literature, Honorable all the presenters and all the participants, Honorable all distinguished guests. First of all, allow me to extend my warmest greetings and welcome to you all to the second ELLiC or English Language Literature International Conference held by Universitas Muhammadiyah Semarang. The themes Education 4.0, Trends and Futures Perspective in English Language Education, Linguistics, Literature and Translation. Hopefully, this conference is very fruitful for researchers, for educators, academicians, profession and teachers to promote and choose the appropriate approaches, strategies, and model, as well as materials which are creative and innovative, dealing with fusion of cyber technology and physical system. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to, we proudly present here a keynote speaker, Dr. Willy Renandia, the Principal Lecturers English Language and Literature Department, National University, Nanyang Technology University, Singapore. We also proudly present plenary speakers, Prof. Jamaluddin Darwis, the fourth rectors of Unimus. We proudly present Assistant Professor Angkana Tangpon, PhD, the head of PhD program in Applied Linguistics, Khon Kaen University, Thailand. And then Prof. Thomas Charles, former English Language Fellow at the Nation University of Mongolia. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me also inform you here in this conference, there are about 120 presenters and then 25 participants comprising teachers, lecturers, undergraduate and graduate, and also postgraduate students from Indonesia, Thailand, Myanmar, and Vietnam. Actually, your contributions are very meaningful to us. The committee would like to thank the director of Unimus, would like to thank to the Dean of Foreign Language and Cultures, Ms. Jessica Maya Oktani, for their support for this conference. So the last, I would like to kind of request to the Dean of FEBA to officially open this conference. We expect all presenters, all of you, audience, and then participants to have wonderful conference today. And then enjoy our hospitality. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is now an honor for me to invite the Rector of Universitas Muhammadiyah Semarang, represented by the Dean of Faculty of Foreign Language and Culture, Mrs. Jessica Maya Oktarani, to kindly proceed to the stage to deliver the opening remarks and also to officially open our conference by striking the gong.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen, all participants, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, praise to Allah, because today we can gather in this room in good conditions. And by having this conference, Alhamdulillah, it gives me great pleasure to have you all. And all of us here, let us say warm welcome on behalf of the Rector of Muhammadiyah University of Semarang. And we are also delighted to have you here to participate and to share in the second English Language and Literature International Conference 2018. Again, welcome to UNIMUS. Muhammadiyah University of Semarang, or UNIMUS, as one of more than 170 Muhammadiyah universities and colleges in Indonesia, is committed to support the development of science in many disciplines and also its application to our community. UNIMUS now has 8 faculties and 22 programs, and FBBA, Foreign Language and Culture faculty, is one of those faculties, which has 2 programs, English Literature and English Education. It is gratifying to note that the agenda of the conference covers a wide range of very interesting topics related to English education, English language, and English literature. Thus, our appreciation goes to all speakers, Dr. Willy, Prof. Thomas, Prof. Jamal, Dr. Angkana, and all presenters and participants for taking part in this conference. We hope that all of you can participate well in this conference, and please have a pleasant stay in Semarang for those who are not from Semarang. Especially, I heard some of you from Myanmar, Mongolia, Thailand. Let me check whether they already here. Is there any one of you from Thailand? Myanmar. Okay. I call for Mongolia and you raise your hand from Myanmar. Okay, good. I wish that everyone can have a good time in UNIMUS. And we also pleased to have your thoughts, your comments, criticism about this conference. So we will use it for the betterness of the future conference. So finally, by reciting Basmalah, let us officially open this seminar, even though I will also hit the gong. But let us again recite Basmalah together. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yeah, Mrs. Jessica, please remain on the stage. We would like to invite you to officially open the conference by striking the gong. And to accompany the Dean, we would like to invite the chairperson of the committee to come to the stage, Mr. Dodi, and also all the speakers. Okay, thank you very much. Well, ladies and gentlemen, now as we are officially starting the second English Language and Literature International Conference, we would like to ask the distinguished guests to kindly step outside, proceeding to the translate room before we are going to have the first plenary session. Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the second English Language, Literature and International Conference. And this is the moment that we have been waiting for, plenary sessions. And the first plenary speaker will be Professor Dr. Jamaluddin Darwis, MA, who was the first rector of Universitas Muhammadiyah Semarang, with Mrs. Riana Eka Budiastuti as the moderator.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. Okay. I see a lot of beautiful smiles, and some people I knew I met in the previous in the previous week, couple of weeks. Okay. All right, first of all, I would like to welcome you to our beloved campus, Universitas Muhammadiyah Semarang, and I hope you enjoy the beautiful scenery along your way to this place. All right. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Riana Eka Budiastuti, and I will be the moderator for Professor Jamaluddin Darwis' presentation. And today, Professor Jamal has prepared a very interesting topic to be discussed in this first session. Okay, Pak Jamal or Professor Jamal will discuss about learning foreign language in psycho-socio-religious perspective. All right, because it is suit with our theme, Education 4.0, Trends and Future Perspectives in English Language Education, Linguistics, Literature, and Translation. All right, before going to the discussion, I would like to read a little bit Professor Jamal's curriculum vitae. Yeah. For education, Pak Jamal has graduated from where is it? IAIN, IAIN Sunan Ampel Malang, and then continue his study in University of Sydney and got his Master of Art in Applied Linguistics in University of Sydney also, and gained his doctoral level from Universitas Islam Negeri Syarif Hidayatullah Jakarta. And for your information that Pak Jamal now still teaching in our faculty in FBBA, and also teach at Unisula. All right, and Pak Jamal was the fourth rector of Universitas Muhammadiyah Semarang. Okay, I think that's all for Pak Jamal's CV. And now, are you ready, sir? All right. For your information also, there will be 30 minutes presentation from Professor Jamal, and we will have around 10 minutes to have the question and answer. So it includes in 30 minutes, so you have 20 minutes to present, sir. Okay. Yeah, it's ready. Okay, ladies and gentlemen.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Morning, everybody. Yes, Okay, that's good. Are you all right, everybody? Healthy? Oh, that's good. Alhamdulillah. You smile, the word with smile will you. Yeah? Okay, so my portion for this morning is learning foreign language in psycho, socio, and religious perspective. So I put three things, three aspects in my discussion because you know that language is kind of awareness. Language kind of awareness when we say something that we are aware that we are saying something. There's a little aspect. And of course, we are not saying something in the bathroom, in the loneliness, in the emptiness, but it's something with other people. Perspective and religious perspective, especially in Islamic perspective. Okay, so we start a little bit about language functions. You know that there is a cultural function, of course, this is the most important. The faculty of culture, the faculty of education, faculty of language, it is cultural function. And also there is social function. Yeah. In the great community, we are not living in isolated island, in a remote island, in the center of the desert, in the center of the jungle forest. We live together. And also personal function, we want to express ourselves to other people. And also educational function, and the last one is spiritual function, especially in looking from the Islamic perspective. So, so again, I discussed about awareness, to be human being, thinking and feeling something, and togetherness. Yeah, we are living together in the small, very small planet. The Earth is very small now. Formerly it's very wide, yeah, but now it's very small because it's very tiny. Yeah. In Japanese proverb, there is dunyo sak godong kelor. Just the word is just small what? Small leaf. So is it true or not? I ask you, true or not? It is true because if you put the leaf in front of your eyes, you cannot see the ball. Okay. Okay. Now the next one is so that's why I discuss foreign language learning from a psychological perspective, sociological and religious perspective. So in the background, so it is very very difficult to trace back when the foreign language is learned or studied. You don't know exactly when. In my study, that's difficult to find out. What language is used by Adam, the first human being. And and when there is a foreign language, we don't know exactly, but at least we say that there is no language without society, and there is no society without language or means of communication. The contact of many different people, different nations, different language and culture. Use the language. We are using the language in Roman Empire, Persian times. In expansion of European countries, Islamic spread in Middle East, bilingual and multilingual communities, all are related to learning foreign language. And also the last one, the existence on loan word. Loan word. There are a lot of loan word in every language. And Indonesian borrow from Dutch and from English and also from Arabic words. So many. You know that nostalgic. Is it English word? Is it English word? Nostalgic. Yes. Yes. Do you know where does it come from? Where it come from? Nostalgic. From Arabic. Yeah, from Arabic. Yes, from lako lakia, istalko nostalgia, and then nostalgic. We meet together. That's the meaning. Lako, it is the verb. The meaning is meet, to meet. Yeah, meeting by face to face. So nostalgic, it is from Arabic language. You know, universal from what language? This is from Latin. Uni in English is one. Uni is Latin. First is the saying. So conversation, first is saying. Uni first, the meaning is, who is uni in this word? Uni is God. First is saying, the saying of God. So the universe in Indonesian translation is alam semesta. It is the creation of God, one word from God. That is according to the religious belief. Yeah, we can believe or not. It's depend on us. Okay. So So the next, psychosocial, language is one of the basic needs of human beings. Human is personal being as well as social being. Humans not alone in emptiness, apart from other human being. The need of language is unavoidable. Learning language, psychological potential to acquire language. That this human has a kind of potentialities in the brain, the mind, to learn language. Learning a psychological process to change behavior. In terms of language, it is a verbal behavior, as well as social behavior, of course, because language is within society. And in terms of psychology, there is attitude, there is motivation, there's intelligence, aptitude, memory, etc. We are going to discuss a little bit about this aspect of psychology. Okay, learning to acquire language skill, not only the knowledge of language, but language skill, to communicate using the language, to master foreign language, to be able to use that language in communication. Learning through study and practice. Study is using the brain, practice using the lips. It is quite different. Yeah. So study and learn is different. Yeah. Learn it's much more on skill. Study is much on the brain. So thereby we call it student because using the brain. But learning to walk, not studying to walk. Is it right? Studying to walk, learning to walk. Learning to drive motor car because it's kind of skill. Language is learning language is because we are going to achieve the skill, language skill. For communicate, not only, not only the knowledge about the language. It is a kind of linguistic, it is studied in the Department of Linguistics. Learning to think, learning to modify attitude, learning the social values. Okay, so we talk about intelligence a little bit. Intelligence related to academic skill, not related on communicative skill, social communication. So what I mean is intelligence is the only contribution intelligence in learning foreign language. Yes, if it is academic field, not as a mean, as a way, as a tool for communication possible. Because the uneducated people can speak whatever language if they want. The baby was born in Indonesia and then brought to England and parted from the father and mother. What language will be used? In English. Although born in Indonesia and their nationality is Indonesia, but because they grown up in English society, not Japanese, not Indonesian, but English. So it is for social communication, not related to academic. Academic is related to field of study. And then the aptitude. Ability to identify sounds, pattern in new language, memory to store language rule and vocabulary. You know that aptitude is not related to whether he or she is able to learn to master foreign or not. No, not like. Because every human being, as far as normal human being, quote and quote, I'm sorry to say it, that is yes or she has aptitude. Aptitude, the quality of aptitude are related to the speed how to master foreign language. Not answering the question, is he able or not to master, to acquire language, not like that. But to answer the speed of mastering, of achieving foreign language. So for my student, I ask that you all, I say to my student, all of you have language aptitude. The evidence is because you speak, you say something, that you have language, but it depends on you, on the community which are influential in foreign language learning. Okay, and then the next, memory. Memory is mental ability to store information, language rules, and also language words, vocabulary items. The better learner's memory is the faster he or she is learning a new item, a larger vocabulary, it's better. The capacity to load lexicon or word, that is the memory. And then aptitude, yeah. And then every human being has capacity to acquire language. Different capacity from person to person. Okay? Higher language aptitude can learn more quickly. So the aptitude is matter of speed in achieving, in acquiring new language. Higher language aptitude can learn more quickly. All normal human being can speak any language. The acquisition as a matter of effort and time. Social environment as facilitator. Chomsky said at LED, we know together, that language question device in our brain. So that is a story. I don't know whether it's story, true story, or just a fiction. that as a baby was born in India, in close to the jungle, the forest, and then the baby was brought by gorilla, and then the father was very upset, very sad because it is stolen by gorilla and brought to the jungle, and after 7 or 8 years, and then hunter found that boy, and then the boy cannot speak anything except the gorilla's language. Everything. Because the environment is gorilla, not human being. Although he has language acquisition device, but because the environment is not human being, so the capacity, the aptitude for language achievement, it's not functional. Because language is much more influenced by the environment, where the baby in that case, in that story, in the jungle around the gorilla communities. Okay, so that is guarantee that every normal human being, I'm sorry to say normal, yeah, so he has a language and he's guaranteed to be able to speak, to master whatever language according to depend on the environment, social environment. And then attitude, expression of positive or negative feeling, impression of linguistic difficulty and simplicity. Why this good attitude or not, it's influential for language, target language mastery. Impression of it is difficult or it is simple, and then degree of importance of target language, feeling about the target language speakers, yeah. Maybe hateful that speakers, of course, it is kind of burden, secular burden, yeah, or barrier, to overcome or to achieve that language. The effect on second or foreign language, negative attitude, that is psychological barriers. And that is a very bad attitude, in fact, in learning foreign language, what call it is a dumbbell attitude. You know dumbbell attitude? You know dumb? That, okay. Bell is something that ding, 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 ding. But then attitude that he would want to open the mouth in learning foreign language. How come? As of learning foreign language without opening the mouth, because the language is in this vocal, it's vocal symbol, it's his voice. Okay. Now motivation, the last one is motivation. Attitude has direct influence on the language learner's motivation. Motivation is person desire to learn foreign. Motivation is a kind of energy and spirit. If no spirit and no motivation, then there is no energy to learn foreign language. Okay, it is very easy to instrumental, just instrumental goal, getting job, academic purpose, reading, but the better is integrated motivation to communicate with people who speak that language. It's more influential to achieve native-like proficiency and pronunciation. If in the great motivation, we are going to try to as native-like word and good, as like how to pronounce well in English. They like to say hello, to communicate with other people. If the integrated and there is a foreigner, say hello, just say hello. That doesn't get motivation. But then there is no motivation, just say ignoring, just keep silent maybe. Okay, next. Now we look at the social perspective. Language is social semiotics or semiotic system. You know semiotics? Semiotic is a theory about sign. So in fact, language is every sign, every symbol, every signal which has meaning. That is the language. So, but in human language, of course, the signal from the vocal symbol from A and then Z, yeah, in English. Okay. Semiotic systems using sign or signal for purpose of communication, but it is vocal symbol. When I was in Australia, I was under the supervision of Halliday. I have 2 semester program with Halliday. That is Michael Halliday. And because we have 2 semester, one year program, just telling us, giving a lecture about semiotic system for human language. So semiotic system is looking language as part of social phenomena. Look at them for social phenomena. But Chomsky look at from the psychological process, cognitivism. Okay, next social language is essential factor in social life. Okay, Halliday, this is the field, it is a little bit complicated in fact. Halliday is the field of refers to what is being talked about. So in saying something, in using language, we talk about something. So the feel is refers to what is being talked about, the discourse. The tenor is the relationship between sender and receiver, the hearer and speaker. And the last one, mode, refers to the way a language, how organized the language to convey the meaning, and also the channel, whether it is written or spoken or combination of two. Language is a source for communication, not just a set of rules. That's according to Halliday. Because looking from the semiotics, from the social phenomena. And then the language is instrumental social interaction rather than a system in isolation, First language learning, the abundance of language input from mother. There is from the first language acquisition, there is a silent period for the baby, for 2 or 3 years, silent period. But it doesn't mean that the baby does not acquire the language, because there's abundance of language input from the mother. The mother doesn't put the cover in the mouth while bathing the baby, while feeding the baby. No, open the mouth. Although the baby doesn't answer, the baby no respond. So that is the silent period for the baby, and that is abundance of huge quantities of input, language input. So that is for the first language. Language by being exposed very frequently. How many words we don't know? Yeah, we never count the mother's exposition to the baby. Social contact plays an important role in developing attitude toward the second foreign language. Yeah, that is foreign and second language. There is differences, but we don't go further to what is second and foreign language. Sufficient contact, psychological openness, positive attitude will facilitate and affect the learning process, especially for the foreign language. The term bilingual and multilingual are used for the dual or more language mastery of individual and multilingual societies. So Indonesian people, I'm sorry to say, mostly they are bilingualism, at least local language and Indonesian language. Everybody can speak their local language as well as speak Indonesian language. Yeah, so there are, but some of them are 3, like you, maybe 4, Arabic. Yeah, 4, 5 languages. I speak 4 languages, a little bit Arabic, but not very actively. Not very active, I mean, and some local languages. Sunda language, Maduranese language, a little bit Japanese, yes. And also in Japanese, there are 4 types of Japanese, dialects, but they understand each other. And from Tegal, it's different from Banyumas, and from Semarang, in the south part of Central Java, in the East Java, is different. Different intonation, different word, but they understand each other. Close relation between language and society. There is no language without society, and then we call it, we have this one, but for the educational, commercial, and political, and cultural purposes. Now, the last one is about religious perspective. In Islamic view, you know that Arabic language is a kind of compulsory foreign language by Muslim, because you already witnessed that you open with Assalam, not translated into Indonesian. Assalamualaikum is a social language in Arabic. Peace be with you all, and the mercy of God, and the blessing of God. That Assalamualaikum. It is not translated into Indonesian. There's authentic text like that from the Prophet. That Assalamualaikum. The objective is social purpose as well as ritual purposes. So learning Arabic script to read the Holy Quran. Almost every Muslim in Indonesia can read the Quran, the Arabic script in the Quran, although they don't understand the meaning. Yeah, mostly. Okay, thank you very much. Yes. Okay, Muslim family teach children to read the Quran. Okay, the last one, this one. The glory is for God. It is not translated into Indonesian. Also, always and almost always in Arabic, because the authentics in Arabic. And the prayer, yes. Okay, and there are a lot about a little bit this one. Learning Arabic for its purposes, ritual prayer, social, Assalamualaikum, intellectual, for read the Quran, to deliver Islamic message to other people, and also for the prayer call, this adhan. It is not translation. Yeah, so in the mosque, in the minaret, Okay, they are in Arabic, all in Arabic. Okay, maybe the last one, language skill in the Quran. Islam tries to fight against illiteracy. Okay? Islam tries to fight against it because Al-Quran consists of 30 divisions. Each division has 20 pages and 114 chapters in the Quran, 6,666 verses, 77,430 words, 323 and 15 characters. Something that what I mean that is extraordinary is the first verse among 6,666 is ordering people to read. That is one of the language skill. Read in the name of the Lord, the Creator. That is, and also that a speech organ mentioned in the Quran. We made not for human being eyes to give attention, and a tongue and a pair of lips as a speech organ. That is also mentioned in the Quran. And then there's the five verses in the beginning of the Quran. And in the year there is a verses about different languages and different cultures to know each other. And it is about that is the prophet was saying that seek the knowledge, although it is in China, it is implicit saying, in order to seek knowledge anywhere, to learn any language as media in seeking knowledge. So learning English is kind of obligatory if you are going to learn in United States or in Australia or in British. Okay, further study in US, Australia, we learn English because Americans are English speaking out. It is the potentiality for hearing. And then it is about to know each other, international communication or global communication. And okay, and then I'm sorry, maybe I took from Google. This is the last one. So mastering language is important to socialize the religious value. Yeah? Okay, like in the Quran, invite people to the way of their Lord with wisdom and beautiful preaching, and argue with them in the ways that are the best and gracious. In the Bible, Mark chapter 16, verse 15, it is said, go into all over the world and preach the gospel to every creature. Okay. Saying it can be done, it can be implemented by learning foreign language. If we don't understand, we know foreign, how come we can socialize the value of the religion? Okay, I think thank you very much. I've been later, yeah, so 5 minutes late. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, what a very nice presentation from Professor Jama. We open question. Is there any? Okay. Okay, you can mention your name and affiliation, please.
Yep. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, I'm quite nervous. A lot of eyes looking at me right now. Okay, my name is Muhammad Nova, and I am from Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia. Thank you very much for the chance. And it is very interesting at the beginning because I saw one slide from your slide mentioning intelligence is not related to academic skill. Intelligence is related to academic skill, not to communication skill and social communication. But however, I have different perspective that how about the stereotype of people thinking that only educated people can speak well and also have a better diction choice and also lexical items to be used in communication. For example, that if we are talking with somebody who is graduated from school and also university, they can communicate very well. But how about the people at the market, for example, preman, for example, or maybe who is dropping out from school? They have not a good diction, and also probably they are more speaking using swear words. Thank you.
Okay, another question, please. Okay, thank you for the change. My name is Endah Kunti Istiqomah from University of Taman Siswa Yogyakarta. My question is, in your slide, you say that it's like we should speak foreign language as a native speaker. It's like you suggested to us, to Indonesian people, to speak foreign language as well as a native speaker. But I have another opinion whether when learn English, we have also word Englishes. It's like Japanese English, Sundanese English, and other Englishes. So I think that should be native speaker English. It's not really necessary to be done. It's my opinion. And what do you think about that? Thank you. Okay, one more question. All right.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. I'm Lili Subratmaji from Stikubang University, Semarang. You taught something to do with semiotics. And I would like you to project theory of semiotics into the real life situation, as we can see in many phenomena about that theory. For example, when we go to the mosque, there is a writing or a note, small one, or maybe provided with a picture like slippers and put a cross on it, or saying Bata Suci or whatever, but we can still see the slippers above that limit, okay? And another example is that when we see in the street, we find many people stopping their car, vehicles at the S sign, okay? Now, what I'm going to ask you is that, what will you project the theory of that semiotic phenomena? Do you agree that this is more related to language, or this is more related to social values rather than the others? Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
All right, Jamal.
Okay, thank you very much for the three questions from Mas Nova, Mbak Istiqomah, and also for Pak Lili. Okay. So from Muhammad Nova from UPI, ya, from Bumi Siliwangi, is it right? Yeah, UPI Universitas Padahal IKIP. You know, UPI, itu plesetannya itu UPI Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, Universitas Padahal IKIP gitu katanya. I'm sorry to say it. Okay, about intelligence, you know, the intelligent factor in learning language. Okay, because we start from the language for survival, you know, language for survival. You know, the very stupid, quote unquote, I'm sorry to say, quote, uneducated can speak English if he or she want to learn language. So that's why, you know, that the intelligent doesn't give a kind of influence too much to master language as social, communicating as social. We how to communicate in social communication. And if you said in the Dutch example that, you know, the brilliant, the most intellectual people can speak more fluently, not because of the language itself, because he's very intellectual. He know everything. So he have a lot of material in his brain to talk about, to say something. No, not the genuine academic. Academic is a kind of matter, a kind of substance to talk, to say something. So because a lot of abundance of material to be discussed, to be talked, so it seemed that he is very fluent, very clever in communication. That not because of the language, because the brain because the academic fields that he mastered. So again, that's according to my literature that I read that, just it is a kind of encouraging people who are lower in intelligence. Is despair. He is not motivated. Is no energy to learn language. We say don't worry because intellectual doesn't give contribution to language learner, to language acquisition, as well as language for social communication, language for survive. So, but I agree because that's a case, yeah. It is a kind of fiction. It is true story. Yes, but in my my interpretation, my understanding is because the brilliant or the intelligent, he or she has much more substance, for communication. Okay, I don't think that it is satisfy you, yeah. Okay, okay, and then the next question is Mbak Istiqomah from Yogyakarta. Yeah. Kalau anjing jam pinten tindak saking ayo ce. Kalau wingi, oh yeah. Because I'm from Yogyakarta, so yeah, from Lempuyangan, yeah. So but yeah, from Yogyakarta and also from Klaten. Yeah, I was born in Klaten, but father from Lempuyangan. Okay, and that's about native like. I agree 100% with your opinion because that what I mean by to try to close to native like. That is the way how we are going to to master our English. Because English is foreign language is kind of imitation. We listen, we imitate, we listen with it. So of course the target is native like the target. But if we cannot like native, that is very normal because first language is very influential for the mastery of the second language. Just not talking about English, talking about Indonesian language. So Indonesia consists of many different local languages. So we are together with Indonesian people. From the Indonesian, we know, oh, you are from Batak, you are from Madura, you are from Java, but all are spoken in Indonesian. So which is the genuine Indonesian then? Which one is the genuine Indonesian? Malaya is in history perspective. Because 100 years ago, Indonesian language is from Melayu. But Malay 100 years ago, it is different from Indonesian in the now, zaman now. It's different. Okay. So understand what I mean? So which one is genuine Indonesian? Yeah. So that is Indonesian Javanese like, Indonesian Sundanese like, Indonesian Batak likes. Yeah. So it's quite difficult. So the important thing for foreign learner, English learner, is as far as it's understood, it will be okay. There is Singaporean English, yeah. There is Japanese English. There is Indian English, which much pronunciation yeah. This Indian language and also like this. Okay, there's Australian. So in Australia, I've been in Australia for 3.5 years. There are 3 types of Australian English. Broad Australian English, it's quite difficult to understand. You come here to die. That is broad Australian. Okay, so the important thing about Istiqomah, the important is as far as it is understood, or it is all right, it's good. It's good. And the important thing also is that don't make a kind of error or mistake being fossilized. Yeah, if the mistake become fossilized, cannot be changed anymore, so it's difficult. Okay, I think that's my answer. Yeah, the important thing is understandable, as far as understandable. So fluency and understandably is much more important than accuracy. Yeah, because in oral language we can ask, slow down please, I don't understand. Can you repeat again? Rather than if comparing with the written language. The last one, Pak Lili, yeah, semiotics. Semiotic is both, yeah, related to the question, is related to culture, the value related to language. It is both because it's a combination of society and culture and sign, which is as a convention of the cultural convention. For example, we say like this, it is semiotics. It means no, it is zero, for example. Mean agreement, mean we neglect or we ignore, okay, something like that. So semiotica is signals, so semiotica is semantics, is theory about sign, which understood and as agreeable by the society. Maybe there is a kind of certain cases that they ignore from this, that is cases, but not general conclusion, not like that. Like as, less as, what does it mean as signal? As is prohibited, stop. But for the people who jual as, they don't have, they are afraid of selling as ice in that area because nggak boleh jual es kok ini, nggak boleh jual sate. So that is cause misinterpretation. But again, Pak Lili, it is, if you ask about, it is related to language, social values. It is related both, both to social values. So in the traffic light, green, red, and yellow is semantics. It is the signal for stop, for just preparation, watch out, and also letting to it is time for for continue your travel. Okay, I think that's all, Pak Lili. Maybe it is not semantics is very complicated. Yeah, really very complicated because there is a kind of interpretation. But the important thing, it is related to moral values, to social values, also related to language. It is understandable by the communities. Okay, thank you very much, Pak Lili. Thank you, Pak. Is more. Itu time is enough, ya, Bu, ya?
More than enough.
Oh, more than enough. I'm sorry, because I'm sinful, I make a mistake because the portion for you also reduced by my time. Okay, thank you very much for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
All right. Yeah, I think I don't need to say anything more because there are 3 speakers awaiting for their presentation. So thank you very much for your listening to Professor Jamal. And again, please give a big applause to Pak Jamal.
Okay, thank you very much. And for the speaker, please remain on the stage because we would like to present a token of appreciation. And we would like to invite Mrs. Muhimmatul Ifada as the head of English Education Department to hand the token to our speaker. Okay, thank you very much, and you all may return to your seat. Well, ladies and gentlemen, before we proceed to the next agenda of this function, which is the second plenary session, we would like to invite you to have some refreshment snacks in the next room for 15 minutes from now. And please be back at 9:30 o'clock after the coffee break for plenary session 2. Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the second English Language and Literature International Conference 2018. This is also another moment that we also have been waiting for plenary session 2. And in this session, we will have Assistant Professor Angkana Tongpun Panasorn, PhD, who is the head of PhD program in Applied Linguistics, Konkan University, Thailand. And in presenting her paper, she will be moderated by Mr. Harry Dwi Santoso.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome back to this room, ladies and gentlemen. We are now in the second session of a plenary session. Today we have a very special person here, Mrs. Angkana Tongpun Panasorn, the assistant professor Associate Dean for Academic Affairs, Head of the PhD program in Applied Linguistics, Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences, Konkan University. Would you please give applause to Mrs. Kana? As we all know, for the second language learners, vocabulary is one of the most important things, is one of the most crucial things because we as a second learner in English find it difficult to learn vocabulary if compared to the native speakers because we have no ideal environment for learning English compared to them living in, for example, in England or maybe United States or some other English-speaking countries. This is going to be a very interesting discussion because Mrs. Ankana will share knowledge to all of us here about construction methods and applications of vocabulary in order to how to improve our English skills in general. Now, we have 30 minutes because, 30 minutes including questions and answers session. It is flexible, but we maybe if we can be on time, it's going to be very helpful for the next session. Now, would you please, Ms. Ankana, time is yours. Yeah, plus one more time.
Thank you very much for your introduction and good morning, everybody. It's my great pleasure to be here, to be with you. And I'm very honored to be here and then to attend the conference. This is my first time in Indonesia, but everything has been very nice. I feel like at home here, so because of nice people. Thank you so much. Okay, so for today, I will talk about vocabulary list, construction methods, and applications. Before I talk about vocabulary list or word list, I would like to talk a little bit about the roles of vocabulary in language learning. Vocabulary is one, if not the most important element in learning a second language. When learning a language, just learning grammar or the structure is not enough. Think about me at the airport yesterday, meeting a lot of Indonesian people. I look like Indonesian, just realized that after, being in Indonesia for a few hours because people came to me and started talking, Malayu to me and said, no. And I felt sorry that I had no Malayu vocabulary at all. I wish I learned some to come here. And then, even though you know the structure, for example, if you know that Chinese is structured by subject, verb, object, or subject, verb, predicate, you still cannot convey your thought. You cannot produce sentences. You cannot speak. Why? You need enough vocabulary to fill the slots, to produce sentences, to make yourself understand what people are saying, and to make yourself understood by other people. So for L2 learners, I would say that the most important element is to have sufficient vocabulary for them to express themselves in the second language. When learners have enough vocabulary, they will be able to develop their L2 proficiency effectively. And also they will be able to express themselves clearly to other people as well. There are a lot of studies that look at relationship between vocabulary and L2 learning. And previous studies repeatedly show that there are strong correlations between vocabulary size and academic achievement. What does it mean by correlation? It means that the higher or the larger vocabulary size they have, the more they will become successful in their second language learning. And there is also, actually there are a lot of studies that look at vocabulary size and reading comprehension. If learners have a large vocabulary size, they can comprehend text better, as well as in the speaking, reading, listening, and writing. But the question is, if you say vocabulary is important, how many words should they know? Scholars previously believed that learners need approximately 2,000 words. 2,000 words here means 2,000 word families. Okay, so they need approximately 2,000 words in order to understand the second language partially, only partially. With the level of 2,000 words, the second language will make sense to them, will start making sense to them. Okay, and well, Laffer has raised up the criteria a little bit, and now he proposed that L2 learners need approximately 4,000 to 5,000 words in order to read or understand reading text adequately, but with some assistance from dictionary and probably from teachers. Learners will become independent readers when they reach the level of 6,000 to 8,000 words. So that means that learners need a lot of vocabulary. So as a teacher, we need to, how we help them to gain, to reach that level of vocabulary size. When saying 2,000, 3,000, or 6,000, what does it mean? It means that learning a word is not doesn't involve only learning the definition of the word. It involves knowing different aspects of the word. Okay, so different aspect here we refer to the form, meaning, and use. It's not enough for learners to know only the meaning. They have to know the form as well as when to use it appropriately, and also know the constraints when not to use it. How to measure vocabulary size? Well, Nation and Tom Cops develop vocabulary size online that you can download them and use them for free. And this is how it looks like. So the basic idea is that, as you know, that vocabulary, according to Michael West, vocabulary is divided into different levels depending upon the frequency. The first 10,000, the second 10,000. The idea is that words are randomly selected from each level, and one word stands for or represent 100 words. For example, if they get 5 words correct, that means students know approximately 500 words. How to select words for learning and teaching? I think this is a very important question that we need to ask. So, what types of words? Which words students should spend time and effort learning? And according to Nation, 2001, Nation divide vocabulary into 4 types: high frequency words, or the first 2,000 words, according to West General Service List; academic words, according to the study of Cockney 2002; technical words are the words that are specifically tied to academic areas, and the last one are rare words. So, which words should be which word should be selected for learning and teaching? And the words should be the words or vocabulary that help them achieve their goals of learning. And most of the scholars will agree that words that are important for learning are words that frequently occur, or frequent words. Why? Because if students, we know that learning a word, we cannot learn a word through one encounter, right? Students need to encounter words several times. Previous studies mentioned that learners need to encounter a word for about 15 to 21 times in order to learn different aspects of the word and can transfer their receptive knowledge of the word into the productive knowledge. So giving a list of most frequent ways for learners to learn. That means that learners will have opportunities to see the words many times, and that increase the opportunity for learners to learn the word and to include the word into their lexicon. This is the example of frequent content words from, I took it from a corpus of Oxford Dictionary. Okay, and here, I don't know if you see it, but this is based on my study that I developed frequent technical words for finance. So, as you can, you probably cannot say it clearly, but you will see the frequency or the number of occurrences of the words. For example, finance, it occurs over 6,000 times. So it should receive highest attention, right? Learners should learn these words first, compared to words that occur very rarely in the text, like 1 or 2 times. And so how to construct a word list? I'd like to talk about 3 major elements that we need to consider when construct a word list. The first one is how to design a corpus. I'm not sure whether you are familiar with a corpus or corpus linguistics. A corpus is a collection, a large collection of text. Okay, and then we use a software program called Concordancer to analyze the occurrences or the frequency of words in the corpus. And so when design a corpus, what we have to keep in mind is that we want to produce a valuable list for learners to learn and to study on. So it is important that we have to include text that students will encounter or will need to read or to study in that course of the study in the university. So the first criteria when designing a corpus is representativeness. Similar to conducting any type of empirical studies. The sample need to be representative of the population. Here, we have to identify what the population is, the population text is, and then we have to use appropriate sampling method in order to select text to include in the corpus. And then make sure that we have a proportional, appropriate portion of words or running words in the corpus. And the last one, the size. The size of the corpus, how large is the corpus? Actually, there is no rule of thumb concerning the number of words that we should include in the corpus. It is often said the larger is the better. However, the size of corpus, the size of the corpus should suit the research questions at hand. If the size can help you answer or address your research question well, I think that is enough. Okay, so this is the sample from my study. I construct a list of academic words for business English, and it's too small. I adopted the 4 criteria into my study, and I finally got the 16 million words, learning words in the corpus. Okay. This is how I, design the corpus. I had 8 disciplines of business English, and based on the examination, based on the interview with university teachers, they mentioned that university students in the business program had to read books, journals, websites, and newspapers. So I included 4 text types in the corpus, and to make sure that the size of the running words from the different text type is proportional. So I decided to have 500,000 words for each subtext, and so the total number is 16 million words. Okay, After we design a corpus and make sure that our corpus is a good representative of the text and the language that students will encounter in their learning, we can use concordance programs to generate a word list. Actually, there are many concordance, but I normally use the last one, Anconc. Why? Because it's free. Only one reason, because it's free, and it's easy, it's user friendly. So if you're interested in learning about generating a word list, you can use this website. And steps for generating a word list, if you are interested in constructing a word list for your own students, well, I have to say that students in different EFL contexts also require different types of words. So it is important for teachers, at their own university, you should construct, a word list for students. Because students in Thailand would need different types of words compared to students in Indonesia. Using the common word list given by Michael West in 1953 might be a little bit outdated. So probably we need to construct valuable word lists for our own students. So for my study, I constructed a word list, technical word list for business English students and academic word list for students. So after we get a corpus, how to generate a word list? The first thing is we have to transfer the text into the text file. Normally I use Notepad because it's easy to use, and again, it's free. And then upload the text files into the concordance program and use the function word list. That's very easy. Just one click, and then 1 second you get a list of, let's say, over 4,000 words. But how to select words to include in the list? Well, I normally look at 3 major elements. The first thing is I include only content words in the list, because these are major words that students need to learn. The articles and prepositions are function words, like articles, prepositions are closed classes already, so we don't need to include them in the list. The second element, the second criteria is frequency. Think about a list with, if the word occurs, but frequency is not enough. We have to also consider range. Range here means because we use different text types in our corpus, we have to make sure that the word that we will include in the list should occur at least, let's say, 100 times in each text type as well. So that when, if they see the word finance, they will see it in textbook, website, newspaper, effective. Because students need to reach the 2,000 words. Just, learning from the word list might help them learn 100 words per week. And learners need to, encounter and re-encounter the words before they actually acquire the words. So deliberately learn words from the list might also be helpful to students, even though it is neglected or prohibited in the classroom. But I still believe that it is important and helps students to learn vocabulary. I sometimes ask my students in class to keep vocabulary log, the words that they want to learn, let's say 10 words per day, and I ask them to do flashcards on each word. I play some activity in class by pairing students, and let them play and guess the meaning, and try to keep the meaning of the words every day. So that will help them learn vocabulary faster, even though they won't learn different aspects of the word at one time. They can. Actually, they can. They have to learn one aspect and another aspect. And learning vocabulary is a gradual process. You need, as I said, 15 or 21 times before you can actually use the words in your production. So giving students many opportunities to encounter with words will help them transfer their receptive knowledge into the productive knowledge of the word. Okay, we can help them by, using input enhancement to increase the noticing level. When students notice the words, it increases the opportunity for learner to learn the word as well. It's quite warm here, right? Not only me. But believe me, sitting here is very warm. Okay, and well, I would talk about this. Reflection. Learners should be given a chance to reflect on their learning and monitor the process of learning, like as I mentioned earlier. Asking students to keep vocabulary log that will help them learn and be aware of their learning. Okay, it's important that teachers provide different activities that help enhance different aspects of vocabulary knowledge. So you might start with, helping students learn the meaning, and then later on learning collocations and constraints on use. And I also believe that we can use word list to create tests. We can give a test to students before they start the program. Like in first year university, you can give a list of, a test that tests their vocabulary size and say they need 2,000 more words. So we have to create activities around the words in order to help them, increase their vocabulary. And we can use the word list to track vocabulary growth. Like we can monitor their learning. Let's say first semester they have 1,000 words. What about in the second semester? What about the third semester? And we can also examine their vocabulary again at the end of the program. So I believe that these are the importance of the vocabulary list, and that you can use them in your teaching. So in conclusion, vocabulary is very important for second language learners, and it is the responsibility of the teacher to help them increase their vocabulary size and to reach the level of, let's say, 2,000 or 3,000 or 4,000 words as soon as possible. Thank you very much for your attention.
You please give a great applause. Thank you very much for such useful information, useful knowledge sharing for us. Before we start the discussion session, I apologize because I didn't share some information about you before. About education, she was graduated from Arizona University, USA, in master's program of teaching English as a second language. She graduated in 2004, and then she graduated also from the same university, Northern Arizona University, USA, in 2009, finishing her doctoral program in applied linguistics, both with distinction. Would you please give us to Ms. Angka now? We have maybe about 5 or 10 minutes for questions and answers session. For first of all, maybe we can offer 3 questions. Yeah, we offer 3 questions. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 1 question for questioners. Only 1 question. Oh, yeah. We apologize for that because maybe you're too familiar with Mrs. Angkana. So the other 1 question. Okay. The first one is from Mr. Susanto.
Yeah. Assalamualaikum
Only one
warahmatullahi
question.
wabarakatuh. One question. Yeah, okay. Actually, there are many questions that I want to ask, but this is the question that I want to ask you, and this is important because, you know, you said that we need a certain vocabulary for thousands of Python, etc. What about the differences between nations? Is every nation has the same needs for vocabularies, and are there any cultural influence that makes the needs of vocabulary between nations different? Yeah. So we cannot say, we cannot implement 1,000 words from American scholar cannot be applied in Indonesia. 1,000 words from Thailand cannot be applied in Indonesia, etc. Yeah. How cultural domain here affect the vocabularies, and how to choose these 1,000 based on the cultural. Thank you very much.
Well, I think if we do not have a list that we construct for our own students, we can use the general service list provided by, let's say, Cockhead or Michael West. However, for me, the list constructed by Michael West is quite outdated and is based on American context. It is for American university students. And in that case, our students may not need some of the words in the list. So, well, in my opinion, we can use the list if we don't have one, but I suggest that we should construct word list for our own students, because students in our university read different types of textbooks from, students in the US and elsewhere. I hope I answer your question. Thank you.
Okay. For the next questioner, Miss, would you please introduce your name? Yeah. Okay.
My question is, when we when we already make a word list to our student, and then what else? After that, what should we do? Should we check one by one, or should they make a sentences, or maybe a simple journal like that? Because when about 2 years ago, I ever teach in Thailand also, in Hachai. There are so many students in one class. So I think that it should not to be checked one by one. So what will we do as a teacher? Thank you.
So, well, I'm open to all types of activities or all types of approaches. Whatever approaches can help enhance students' vocabulary and help them learn vocabulary as fast as they can. As I mentioned here, that you can ask students to directly learn the words from the list by asking them to keep, vocabulary log or use flashcards in learning the words. And also, you can, as teacher, you can design activities that focus on the form or the meaning in order to help them, firstly, learn receptive knowledge of the word. Because to be able to use words in the production, they need receptive vocabulary knowledge. They have to know the definition of the word first before they can learn different aspects of the word. And then they can transfer the receptive knowledge into productive knowledge. In other words, to use the words in their own production. So any types of activities, the one example is to use, direct learning from the list like flashcards or journal log, or just memorizing the meaning of the words. You try to match the form and the meaning. And also you can use like input enhancement to increase the noticing level. You know, when students notice that the words exist, there is an opportunity for learner to learn. You can use test-induced involvement load hypothesis to use, you know, when they try to produce a language, they need to have need. In other words, they have need to find word to put in the slot, and then they have to search possibility, you know, word choices that they have, and then they have to, let's say, search for the word by consulting a dictionary or asking teachers, and then they actually evaluate which one that fit the context based. This is how they learn, you know. So as I said, I'm open to any types of vocabularies, but any types of activities. But the main thing is our responsibility as a language teacher. We have to help them increase their vocabulary, and vocabulary should be one goal of learning in the class. Yeah.
Thank you for the question, Ms. Inda. And then the third question from the third question. Yeah. Would you raise your hand?
My name is Rio Talia, and I'm from Universitas 11 Maret. My question is more about practical. So you have mentioned that in making a list of vocabulary, there will be 4 types of words, such as frequent words and then rare words. So my question is how to manage the list. Is it from the rare one or from the frequent one? Thank you.
Well, as a suggest here that I normally use 3 criteria to include words into a list. The first thing is that, you know, the words should be content words. The second criteria is frequency. The number of occurrences should be, you know, frequent enough. Normally we use about 100 times. The cut-off point is 100 times in the corpus. Okay, so the word that we should include into a list should occur at least 100 times in the corpus. And the last criteria that I use is range, is the number of text type that the words occur. As I mentioned, that in my corpus, I have 4 different text types, including textbooks, journal articles, websites, and newspapers. And I use a similar criteria that Cockhead used in her study, which is half of the text type. For Cockhead, she used 15 out of 28, and in my corpus, in my study, I used 4 out of 8. So range is also important, as I said. If the word is very frequent, like occur over 1,000 times, however, it occurs in only newspaper, probably it's not so important for learners to learn, because they do not only read newspapers, they have to read textbooks, you know, text from websites as well as from the journal articles. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Dealing with our time management, maybe one more question, and please be brief. Be brief for the questioners, because we have to go to the next session. Is there any question? Yes, sir.
Sir, I can catch the point that the key point of developing students' vocabulary mastery is the exposure to the text, the exposure to the words in text. So you have any idea of exposing students to the text in the era of, we call it as generation of 4.0? Thank you very much.
Thank you for your question. I think Professor Thomas will answer your question in the next session in extensive reading. Okay, so, well, as you said, multiple exposures in different forms, listening, speaking, reading, writing, give them as many opportunities as possible to encounter words, because the higher numbers of, exposures and encounters will increase the opportunity for learner to learn and so we acquire the words. Thank you, and we will hear more from Professor Thomas in the next plenary talk. Thank you.
Well, this is the end of our session. Would you please give very big applause to Mrs. Angkana? We do thank you very much for your coming here and sharing information, sharing knowledge about vocabulary. I think we can close this session right now by saying Alhamdulillah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, thank you very much, Mrs. Angkana. It was an interactive discussion. And now we would like to present a token of appreciation to our speaker. Mrs. Angkana, please remain on the stage. And we also would like to invite Mrs. Yasika to come to the stage to hand the token. Thank you. You all may return to your seat. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let us now have the third plenary session, which is, I'm sure that the topic proposed will benefit us as the teacher to stimulate and empower our students to become autonomous learners. And let's invite Professor Thomas Charlotte Cook, the former of English Language Law at the Nation of University of Mongolia, presenting extensive reading, expanding the English program by creating autonomous learners, with Mrs. Muhimmatul Ifada as the moderator.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, Bapak Ibu sekalian, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to be still patient in your seat. And we still have about around 30 minutes topic with Prof. Tom. And Pak Willy, will you be kind so much time? And before Tom present the material, let me share you that he has already been traveled from west to east, from Indiana University at 1971, from Temple University, Japan, Osaka at 1992, and also he has already published numbers of publications, a textbook also. And after we talk about the language from socio-religious, have a seat, please. Jessica asked me to sit. So after we talk about language from perspective of socio and religious view, and then we have discussed about vocabulary. So it is time about the extensive reading, which is very demanding because reading is still very complicated word, no? But it doesn't wise if I talk too much. So I think I'll give time to Tom, and we have around 25-30 minutes. And don't worry, I will remind you whenever the moderator has given sign to me. He is very kind, so don't worry then. So I think time is yours, please.
I can't sit down. I'm like a 10-year-old, and they're going to put me on drugs. So, so anyway, my email address, ER Global Access, and there are no spaces in any emails. They're always lowercase. So if you want to contact me, you can. My name, KOCH, is German. I'm American. I'm from Indiana, which is near Chicago. And usually I show a map. Here's New York, and here's California, here's Chicago, and here's Indiana, the heart of America. And you're supposed to say, ah, okay. Okay, so anyway, so I started a one-man program, which I am. I'm retired actually from Japan, and so I taught last year, as we mentioned, National University of Mongolia. Okay, let's continue. Okay, so we're going to talk about intensive reading versus extensive reading because there's a big difference. We're going to talk about why extensive reading, and we're going to talk about also why reading. We're going to look at proper levels of books, the SSS program, which is very important for extensive reading. We're going to look at results of one student because she had TOEIC scores in Japan. I taught in Japan for 25 years. She had TOEIC scores every 6 months. So the English literature department required TOEIC. So I could track her levels. It's one of the few students that you could actually track. We're going to look at the M-Reader, which is online program, and we're going to look at X reading. Okay, oh, there it is. Okay, so what we've learned, language education, there's a level here. I'm finding the, oh, there it is, okay. All right, so basically language learning, as we heard earlier, is based on time and anybody remember what was heard? Effort, time and effort. Now we're talking about learning in the classroom, as if we only have classroom time. We have more time. We have 24 hours a day. So what we want to do is make our students, learners, 24 hours a day. Okay? Maybe that's asking too much, but that's what we're going to ask. And so it's basically just like a sport. If you're going to play golf, you've got to practice. Language, as you all know better than I do, you have to practice and you have to use it. So what we're asking students many times in a classroom where you have 25 students, how much do they use English in class? And the answer is not very much. So we have to have teachers, in my view, this is a joke, stop teaching, students start working, okay? Start using English. So that what we want to shift responsibility. Now the administration wants teachers to teach, but actually what we need is students to work, to do what they need to do. Actually the swash, do you know? Nike, swash? What's the theme? What's the word? Just do it, okay? They need to just do it, okay? And so, all right, so benefits of reading, we're gonna look at a little bit. Here's a study. They took two groups of people in India. They took one group who could not read, and then they taught half of them to read, and what they found was that the brain changes, okay? And we heard that in the Quran, one of the principles of the Quran, first principle, the first message from God was learn to read. And that's what we need to be doing, and we not only need to learn read, we need to read. Okay, after we learn, we read. Okay, so this is a German institute, and they found that there are changes. I don't know why I'm having trouble with this. Can you, anybody? Is this working? Yeah. What's the secret? I'm sorry, come here. Yeah, come here, please. Sorry. Okay, there it is. Okay, all right, all right. Okay, the point is, the more you read, the more things you will know, the more you learn, the more places you'll go. Dr. Zeus, who is he? The Cat in the Hat, okay? Rhyming words, rhyming stories for children, okay? Read today, lead tomorrow. Children's books expose kids, not kids, but children, to 50% more words than primetime TV or a conversation between college graduates. So they need words, they need vocabulary, as we discussed before. Exposure to new vocabulary leads to higher scores on reading tests and higher scores on general test of intelligence. You become smarter when you read more, okay? Students who read are better than students who don't read. True or false? True. Everybody knows that. And yet we don't do that. Why is that? What percentage of English programs have a monitored extensive reading program? The answer is less than 1%, is my guess. I've talked to people in Mongolia, Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, China. Nobody uses extensive reading. Okay? We need to use extensive reading, period. Okay, I'm going to have to get her to, oh, sorry. I'm going to have to get help from you. Okay, so the idea is that if reading changes your brain, do students benefit from reading more? And simple answer is yes, they do. Then the question is, how do we get students to read? This is the challenge that each of us have to work on. What I did mainly was I made it part of grading. I gave them grades. I used the carrot. We have the carrot and the stick, right? The stick is the whip, a tough teacher, and the carrots means like candy, right? So I used candy, and the candy was higher grades. So I have given students 100 in my classes. I've had students who read more time, 2 times more time outside of class than inside of class, okay? This is what we want. We want students to do more. You show me how to do this. What's wrong with this thing? Yeah, I know, push it. Okay, okay. All right, okay. Okay, she's gonna push it, okay. Okay, all right, no, that's fine. Well, if I have more trouble, I am going. 88% of Americans who read ebooks continue to read printed books. I'm sorry, I can't. You show me what I'm doing wrong. Where are you pushing it, down? Okay. I know, but I need to go back here. Okay. Okay, yeah, you do that. Okay. More next. Okay, good. Okay, other scientific, reading out loud to younger children is a good thing, right? When parents read to children, 40% of frequent readers ages 6 to 10 were read to aloud at home. Aloud, I mean out loud, right? So students need to hear this. So your beginning students, 3rd grade or whichever level age you're starting language, you should have older students reading to the younger students, okay? Okay, you want to cooperate, okay? And start making reading part of your program, everyday affair. Everybody's doing it. Reading can help you relax. Memory improvement improves focus and concentration. So we were talking about concentrating earlier. Reading helps you do that. So we have the millennials they talk about, right? The millennial generation who can't think more, except, smiley face and whatever. Okay, next please. All right, okay, let's think about that. Why is it not practical to focus too much on reading? What are the problems with focusing too much on reading? Okay, the next one, please. We're going to look at those again at the end. Okay, intensive versus extensive. This is a key issue. Teachers are confused. There is a difference, okay? Intensive is in the class, it's difficult material, okay? Short materials, teacher provided, decided. Students underline what they don't know. They ask the teacher, they have dictionaries, they have resources. Extensive readings, home, outside of class, okay? And they say a book a week, well, we'll talk about that, but it should be enjoyable. Okay, fluency, read different things, different stories, and they do summaries and reports, but what we do now is we do online checking, okay? Teachers can now monitor extensive home reading online. This is what we want. Next, please. Okay, why? Yeah, can you flip? Can you, yeah, okay. Okay, good. All right, thank you. Sorry, apologies. Okay, repetition. Who said repetition is needed? Yeah. Well, she said it, and so did Catherine Snow from Harvard. Okay, 15 to 20 times in order to. This is a native English child, English speaking child. What about second learners? How much do you need? And the answer is a lot. Over and over and over. Language learners need massive amounts. Massive. What is massive? You know, we talk about reading a book a week. We need more. Next, please. Next. I hope that's okay. Okay, so how do we get students to become independent learners? And the answer is extensive reading. Send them home and put them to work. Okay? Actually, it's not work. We just want them to use English. That's all. Next, please. Okay, the old programs were read as much as possible. Read books well within the reader's language ability. And this is like Krashen's input answer already today, but you're going to do it again. You have a half a minute. Ready? Go. Tell your partner. Okay, extensive reading. Extensive reading. What percent of vocabulary do you understand in reading? Extensive, intensive, in the classroom. Okay, we need to do a survey here. We need to do a survey. What percent of my presentation do you understand? 100%? 80%? 90? Okay, good. Okay. Okay, intensive is 90 or you understand? Okay, 90%. Okay, very good. Okay. Okay, so intensive, it could be, you get strange answers, 60, 70, 80, whatever, because you have a teacher, have dictionaries. It's a learning process. Extensive reading, we'll talk about that. Next question. Oh, back. There you go. Okay. You're going from level 10? Oh, you can. Oh, wow. Oh, you changed the battery. Ah. So my energy has a problem. Her energy is very good. Okay, we'll try. Okay, all right. So your level's 10. You want to go to 11. What level of books in extensive reading should you read? Very quickly. Anybody? 9? Anybody else? 12, 14, 8, 7, 10? Yes? Anybody, please? Do you understand the question? 9? Okay. All right. So here are the answers. You changed the battery. Okay. All right. Okay. So this is pollination. We talked about pollination before. They did 95%, 98%. Then they said, no, they need 99%. We want easy reading at home. No challenges. This is not studying. This is reading. They're not worried about vocabulary. They're not worried about grammar. They're reading a story. And we want them to read and read and read a story, a story, a story. 99%. And if their level's 10, do we read 11? No. Or 9? No. 3 or 4. Okay, because Coca-Cola, bubbles. We have bubbles in our English. So this is really not +1. This is like +8. Okay? So we want to get rid of all these bubbles. We have students reading very simple stories, okay? And then they go higher and higher and higher. And what used to be 3, level 5, is now level 3. What used to be level 7 is now level 5, okay? That through time, that will happen, okay? Now, the SSS program, start with simple stories. This is from Japan, language school in Japan. Read only easy stories, 3 and 4. 99%, no dictionaries. If you don't know the word, keep reading. Guess, imagination. Goal, 1 million words. This is what we want. 1 million words. Okay, a couple studies. Students who read easy books, 200,000 words, did better than students who read 200,000 of more difficult words. Easy is better. Difficult is difficult. Okay, student, 800,000 words. This is key. If you read 800,000 words of simple, which TOEIC and also, TOEFL, IELTS, it doesn't matter. Because we're not preparing for the test, we're creating good language speakers and learners. That's what we want. So you can either focus on the goal is the test, or you can focus on good language learners, which result in good tests. So we want to make better. Okay, results of one student who disappeared, who was here but not here anymore. I didn't? No, I don't think so. Okay. Okay, there it is. Okay, so this is one student. She took TOEIC every 6 months. How much? Oh, I got all kinds of time. No problem. Okay, so she had 555. The point is, she read in 2 years. She read 2 million words, and her TOEIC score went up 300 points in 2 years. This is what can't. Now, of course, she did. I'm sure she did other things. She was studying vocabulary and all those other things. But this is what we want. We want students making reading part of their life. Okay, it's just a natural thing that they do. Okay, next. Okay, highest number. Okay, we say, okay, 1 book a week, forget that. This is 1 semester. This is 4 months, 16 weeks, 202 books. All right, 342,000 words. Okay, this is what is possible. Now, these are easy books. 1 book is maybe 1,000 words. Read the book, take a test. Read a book, take a test. Read a book. Okay, so we have monitored programs. We have 2 monitored online programs. Yeah. Okay, what you focus on grows. I don't know. Please, yeah, just, if it's not working, do it. Okay, what we want to do, if you have 100% of your English program, reading, writing, and listening and speaking, we want to double your program by adding reading at home. They should spend an equal amount of time from classroom time at home. This is what has to happen. They need time and effort, and that's the way it happens. Okay, we also have X reading. We have M Reader. 6,000 tests, free. Next, please. Okay, you can track. So students have to find a book, they read the book, they take the test. Okay, then the teacher can monitor, they count the words automatically, everything's done. Next, please. X reading. Okay, this is an example. Continue. Okay, this is an example of it. Next, please. But you'll look, if you see that, you'll see that words students read in 1 month, 100,000 words from some locations. Next, please, continue. Okay, X reading. This is an online, it has books. I do represent M-Reader, which is free, and I do represent X reading, which actually is a fee. So it has 750 books, graded readers, starting even 50-word vocabulary, 50-word vocabulary, 200-word vocabulary, 500-word vocabulary. We want students starting at the bottom and working their way up. If it's too easy, I say read it fast, okay? They have a quiz, and so the teachers can monitor, and teachers get a free count. Next, please. And students can add reading classes. Okay, add reading classes. Okay, this is what it looks like. Continue. This is what it looks like. This is an easy story. Now you stop for a minute. Okay, right there. If you look at the little over on the corner, this is listening. It has the audio, so students can read it and they can listen to a native speaker. Okay, you do not need an American accent, but you need an international accent. And the best way to get that is listen to a native speaker. Okay. So listen to me. Now, of course, so I have to be very careful about it. Next, please, continue. Okay, this is stop for a minute. Jungle Book, this is a classic, okay? If you read this, it's got 6,000 words. To listen, it takes 71 minutes to read this. Next, please. Continue. Continue. Okay, this is an example of what you can see as a teacher. You can see what they've done. Continue. Okay, continue. Okay, so you can, if you go to X reading, you can see there are 3 samples that you can kind of read portions and you can listen to. We can also set up teachers for trial account type thing, like a 3-month, whatever. It depends, it's however you work that. Next, please. And then the question is, how much does it cost? And the answer is 1 cup of coffee a month per student. So it's $10. It's $10 for 6 months. And it's $16 for 1 year. Okay, next, please. Okay, so what you need to do is for M-Reader, we set up an administrator at the school. We create a school account. The administrator then puts up the teachers, the classes, the students, and turn them loose. So we want to add 10% of time or 5% of time to the teacher. We want to add 100% of time to the student. This is a very effective, cost-effective, and time-effective way of getting students to use English. Next, please. Yeah, create an environment, encourage them. Okay, next, please. Okay, this I incorporated in my grading, so I encourage my students because it's part of their grade. And as I mentioned, I have given students 100 because they've spent so much time outside of class. And then we're back to the same questions. Is reading a good thing? Yeah. Are students smarter who read? Yeah. Why aren't they reading? I don't know the answer to that one. You have to tell me why you're not having your students read. You tell me. You tell me. Okay, next, please. And that's the end.
Thank you so much.
Now, you see why I can't sit down? Okay. All right, questions, please.
Okay, then. So thank you, Tom, for helping me deliver the question.
Yes.
Well, actually, before I inviting this question, because I see that several faces are very curious to raise the question, but because of limited time, maybe I just only invite 2 or 3 questions, depend on how deep is your question. But let me share you my conclusion. The more we read, the more we will go. And reading help us to sleep faster.
Yeah. So makes you
in not
sleepy.
academic way. But then I believe that Tom will help you to give enlightened than me. So please, Bapak Ibu, we invite 2 questions
Okay, sure.
or 3, depend on the question. Yes, Bapak.
So we'll work.
Please, your name and your affiliations.
Yep. Thank you very much. My name is Muhammad Nova, and I'm from Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia Bandung. It is very interesting about extensive reading, but it's quite irony when I heard that we need to monitor the extensive reading. As we know, the extensive reading should be enjoyable, right? And also reading for pleasant. But when we ask the students to have an assessment like answering the quiz, which is very frustrated, and also it will make them pressure. So what do you think about it? Thank you. Do we need to evaluate
good.
our extensive
Yeah, good
reading?
question.
Yep.
Who's reading in here English books? This last semester, in the last 4 months, in the last month, how many people have read English books? How many? 2? 2? 2? 5? Really? Really? Okay, so the point is we want to monitor. We want to know, okay? You can do this the way you want, but we want to know, look, what you focus on grows. If you know the numbers, you can make them grow. If you don't know the numbers, nothing will happen. Okay, so we want to do that. A question?
Thank you. My name is Alivia Dita. I'm from Teknokrat Bandar Lampung. So actually, it's a simple question. So how to make children in love with books, in love with reading? Because based on my research, that I see many children don't like to read. They like to play gadgets rather than to read. So how to make them in love with books?
Okay, this is the challenge, and maybe you have a better answer to me. But basically, how do babies learn to walk? And the answer is first they crawl, and then they take baby steps. And that's what we do. We take baby. It's where you are and where you need to go. Wherever you are is where you are, and that's where you start. Okay? We don't ask the impossible. We ask what they are able to do. So what you do, if they cannot read, older students will read to them. Okay? You have to incorporate the reading. You have to get it part of the program. That's the idea. You create the atmosphere, and where it just becomes natural that everybody's reading. Now, Students who do not read will enjoy reading. True or false? No, false. I mean, they will not enjoy. How can you enjoy something that you've never done? Okay, they have to learn. They have to go through the process of learning to read and starting to read, and then what happens? Then they like reading. Okay, you cannot expect people to like reading immediately. Who likes writing? Nobody, right? Nobody likes writing. Even writers don't like writing. Oh, they say that. Okay, do we have time? Oh, sorry.
Is there any? One more? Yes, Bapak.
What kind of feedback that we should or we can do for reading assignment?
You mean feedback to the
Feedback
students?
from the teachers to the students.
To the students. Well,
And
the feedback is that the teacher knows how many, when they report at the end, you can either report monthly. Okay, every class, my question is, how many books did you read? Okay, I'm not interested in books, I'm interested in words. But if they're reading books, they're reading words. Okay, so the question is, how many books are you, oh, you read one, oh, how many tests did you take? Who took a test this week? Okay, so it's always in front of them, okay? And the point is, they're going to report to me, they're going to make a print off of the computer and show me how many books they've read and how many words they've read, okay? Now, students are going to cheat, okay? But I'm not a policeman, I'm a cheating fool. Because you'll learn nothing, but that's fine. Because I'm not going to make rules based on one cheater, okay, or two cheaters. I don't care about that. I want all students to have maximum opportunity.
Okay, then thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for giving us some very interesting topic. Please be kind and thank you so much, Bapak Ibu, for staying with us. See you next moment. Willy, thank you. So, Bu Aima, I think it is time for yours.
Okay, thank you very much, and please remain on the stage to have the token of appreciation. I would like to invite Mr. Dodi Mulyadi to hand the token to Professor Tom. Okay, thank you very much. Well, ladies and gentlemen, before we proceed to the next agenda, we will have a performance of English Department Choir of Universitas Muhammadiyah Semarang. Before finally we have to continue to the next session. And I will eloquently sing several songs of Indonesia entitled Ampar-Ampar Pisang and also Simponi Yang Indah. Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy the song.
Nang manapati skutu, nang bersekutu, nang manapati skutu, nang bersekutu, nang manapati skutu, nang manapati skutu. Ampar-ampar pisang, pisangku belum masak, masak sabegi di burung bari-bari, masak sabegi di burung bari-bari. Mengalepo, mata kayu bengkok, bengkok dimakan api, apinya cangcurupan. Bengkok dimakan api, apinya cangcurupan. Nang mana batis kutu, dikit tepi dawang. Nang mana batis kutu, dikit tepi dawang. Ampar-ampar pisang, pisangku belum masak, masak sabegi di burung bari-bari. Masak sabegi di burung bari-bari, menggalepok, bengkok dimakan api, apinya cangcurupan. Bengkok dimakan api, apinya cangcurupan. Bengkok dimakan api, apinya cangcurupan. Nang bersekutu, nang manang pati sekutu, nang bersekutu, nang manang pati sekutu, nang bersekutu, nang manang pati sekutu. Ampar-ampar pisang, pisangku belum masak, masak sabegi di burung bari-bari, masak
begini burung bari-bari menggalepo, mata kayu bengkok, bengkok dimakan api, apinya terang curupan, bengkok dimakan api, apinya terang curupan, bengkok dimakan api, apinya terang curupan, bengkok dimakan api, apinya terang curupan.
Kau bagai aroma penghapus pilu.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now we come to the moment that we have been waiting for, in which Dr. Willy Ardian Renandia, known as the principal lecturer at his Language and Literature Department from Nanyang Technological University, Singapore, will present to you all about teachers' proficiency and teaching effectiveness. And in presenting his paper, he will be moderated by Mrs. Jessica Maya Oktarani.
Thank you, Bu Aiman. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, I think everyone in bahagia, ya. If you need translation after this, yeah, after this we will translate. Yeah, basically the song is about when you have music, it seems like the flower smile for you, and then also the bird smile for you as well. So I hope everyone already share this smile to everybody in the room, right? If you hasn't, then please check. You can say CG. CG in Javanese, yeah, is Javanese language, mean one. CG. That's why if you say CG to your friends next to you, then I'm sure that you're going to smile to your friend. You can check. Say CG to your friend. CG, yeah. It's not really related to the political things, yeah? Mind in your mind. Well, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, finally we come to the main agenda for today. We already have Prof. Willy over here. And I'm sorry I cannot read the CV because I have 20 pages of his CV. So we better check in internet for his profile. But basically, he is really busy, like helping people, because if you already check in his Facebook account, well, it's not your Facebook account, but everyone's familiar with what's the name of the Facebook? Teacher Voices. Who's one of you here already become a member in Teacher Voices? See, a lot of them. Yeah, so you can check.
If you are not a member, you need to sign up before the end of the day. It's free.
Yeah.
Before the end of today.
Before the end of today.
It's free.
Okay. So yes.
Tomorrow you have to pay.
Yeah. So he's very kind because he always share everything in that Facebook. So feel free to access it. But I pointed one of the beautiful things over here. He was one of the best teaching assistant award. So he won award in University of Wisconsin Medicine in 1992. So give applause for him. And that's only one award. The rest you can check in the website. I'm sure when you type and Googling, you can find a lot of information about him. So we already talked about foreign language in religious perspective, psychosocial, and we also discussed about the vocabulary in learning English and also extensive reading. Probably you also questioning why the slides over there is different from those in the program book. Because initially he will talk also about extensive reading, but because Prof. Tom already mentioned it as well, so today he will share something different. If we already learned about the vocabulary and everything, extensive reading, how we can measure is checking the proficiency important. What is it, the proficiency test? So that's what we're going to have with Prof. Will. So give applause. This is your session. You can have your time.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank Bapak Rektor for having me. It's an honor. The fourth rector. Okay, the fourth rector. So next year you're going to be the third or the fifth rector. Next year. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so happy to be here. And first thing I want to ask you is this. If you know the answer, then you'll be very happy. What time is lunch today? What time is lunch? 12 o'clock, yes. Pak Rector just mentioned to me something very, very important. You have to pay
attention to my session. Otherwise, you will not get your lunch today. So you will have your lunch if and only if you put away things that you don't need and you focus your attention on what I will be sharing with you this afternoon. I'm from Singapore, and that reminds me of a little quotation from Pak Rektor early on. If you want to expand, if you want to learn more, if you want to increase your knowledge, you have to go to China. I'm telling you, you don't have to go to China. Singapore is very near. So you can come to Singapore and learn a lot of things. If you've been following the news, Singapore has some of the best universities in Asia. In fact, in the most recent surveys, Singapore universities are voted among the most beautiful in Asia. And that is my university, Nanyang Technological University. If you come to my university, you will see all these beautiful buildings and people as well. But beauty is just one aspect. Singapore also has some of the best universities in the world. According to the most recent surveys, my university was voted number satu, number CG not in the world, but in Asia. Nanyang Technological University. Okay, let me just get started. I'll begin by sharing with you a recent important event that was held in Jakarta in February. This happened recently. A number of people, about 70 to 75 people gathered in Jakarta. And these are good people. People like you and people like me. People whose job is to help students develop their language proficiency. These are people whose job is to train teachers to become more effective English language teachers in Indonesia. So we got together and discussed ways of improving, increasing the quality of language education in Indonesia. And one big idea, one very important idea is proficiency. So proficiency is one of the key issues that we are discussing, or we were discussing in that summit. The president of TEFLIN was there, and the president of Asia TEFL Association was also there, Pak Fuad Abdul Hamid, and Bapak Bapak Dekan from UNS, you from UNS, Pak Joko was also there. So we spent one whole day discussing ways of improving students' proficiency and also improving teachers' ability to deliver their lessons more effectively using the English language. So here are 4 things that I want to share with you this afternoon. Number 1, I want us to re-examine what we understand by proficiency. Apa sih? What is proficiency? Why is it so important? Number 2, why is proficiency so important in our job as an English teacher or a language teacher educator in Indonesia? And number 3 is how. How can we help our teachers and how can we help our students to improve on their proficiency? And eventually, if that is what we want to do in the future, so what are some of the things we need to do? This is going to affect you. This is going to affect us. This is going to affect a lot of people in Indonesia. We are really, really very serious about finding ways to improve the quality of language teacher education and language education in Indonesia. Let me begin at the first one. What is proficiency? I'm going to give you a very, very simple definition of proficiency. There you go. It's very easy. Language proficiency refers to one's ability to use language for a variety of communicative purposes. I think Pak Rektor mentioned that earlier too. It's not just about knowledge, it's about how you can use that knowledge for speaking, for writing, for reading, for listening, a wide range of communicative purposes. Now remember, when you walk into the classroom, a lot of teachers do this. An English teacher walks into the classroom and he or she will say, "Good morning, class, how are you?" And the answer is, "I'm fine, thank you, and you?" That is just one small function. And at the end of the class, what do you say to the students? "See you next time." Two very important functions, but I think we need to expand our understanding of what proficiency is. It should be something that goes beyond the simple greetings in the English language. "How are you?" "I'm fine, thank you." "And you?" If we look at the notion of proficiency further, I think you will agree with me that there are at least four major components. Ada empat, yeah? Four major components. The first component is accuracy. How good is your pronunciation? How good is your grammar? Whether your utterances or your sentences or your speech is 100% accurate, I wouldn't say 100%, at least 90+% accurate is good enough. Fluency is another important component. Yeah, you need to be able to speak at length. You need to be able to speak for 1 minute or 2 minutes without stopping too often. That is what fluency is all about. The next one is also very important. It's called complexity. Complexity. If you or your students are able only to use very, very simple words, very, very simple sentences, then you can't say that they have reached an advanced level of proficiency in the English language. So complexity is an important consideration when we talk about proficiency. Whether you are able to use a wide range of vocabulary, whether you are able to use a wider range of sentences or grammatical structures. And finally, appropriacy. Whether what you say is relevant, whether what you say is polite, I like what Pak Rector said earlier on about smile. It's a universal language. It's good to smile when you speak in English. It's good to smile when you speak in Japanese or in Arabic. Any language, smiling is good. Smiling is an important aspect of being appropriate when you use a language. You're using non-verbal language in order to get your meanings across. So these are the four components. Let me give you a little task. Where are you, or where are your students on this scale? So there are four criteria, four indicators: accuracy, fluency, complexity, and appropriacy. I want you to think about yourself. Are you a 1 on accuracy, or are you a 3 on accuracy, or are you a 5 on accuracy? What about fluency? What about complexity and appropriacy? I'll give you 30 seconds. 30 detik. 30 seconds. Done? Okay, tell your neighbor now. Whisper to your neighbor. Where are you? Oh, 30 seconds. Okay, I'll give you a bit more time. 30 seconds. Okay, 30 seconds. Where are you? If you ask this question in class to your students, where are you? They will say, "I'm here, sir, I'm here." Okay, where are you on the proficiency scale? I think this is very important. You need to keep on reflecting about this issue. Proficiency is perhaps the most important skills that you need to have as an English language teacher. Okay, whisper to your neighbor, where are you? Where are you? Are you in the middle, or are you number 4? Are you number 5? You're number 3? Okay, this is very typical of people from Java. I'm right in the middle. Bahasa Inggrisnya, I'm neither here nor there. Ngalor enggak, ngidul juga enggak. Neither here nor there. Okay, let me give you another task. Let me give you another task. Now it's not about you. It's about your teachers. I know that some of you are students, or about your colleagues. So think about your teachers. Think about your teachers who you think are all 4s or 5s. Your teachers. Okay, but don't tell me who your teachers are. Okay, next. Usually, this is what happens. Usually we try to describe proficiency in terms of categories. In terms of proficiency categories like elementary, intermediate, and advanced. Betul ya? Elementary, intermediate, and advanced. Sometimes when we are not decided, when it's difficult to decide what your proficiency, what your student's proficiency is like, then you further subdivide the category into pre-elementary, and then elementary, and post-elementary, and sometimes post-elementary, and the list goes on. Is that a useful classification? The answer is yes and no. Yes and no. If you want to describe your students very briefly, yes, my students are of the still of the elementary level. She is fairly advanced. That's fine. But it becomes a bit difficult if you want to compare proficiency across regions in Indonesia and across regions outside Indonesia. How do we compare to Thailand? How do we compare to Vietnam? How do we compare to Malaysia? This becomes very, very important, in particular in the context of AFTA. AFTA adalah Asia something something trade agreement. AFTA is ASEAN free trade. Free trade means free. Free trade means free flow of goods, barang-barang, and free flow of services, and free flow of people as well. Let's look at the free flow of people. If you want to increase the quality of your life in terms of how much you want to earn in a month, in terms of salary, then you might want to go to Brunei and teach there. Your salary is probably 3, 4, 5 times higher there. So it's a good thing. So be good and be a good teacher and go to Brunei. If you want to catch the head of state, he is now in Indonesia. I think he was playing badminton with Jokowi yesterday. I think he was, yeah. So speak to him and ask for a job. The salary is good there. In the same way, when people from other countries come to Indonesia, I think they are free to come too, because we signed, Indonesia is one of the signatories of the AFTA agreement. So we can't say no. So comparability becomes important. If you apply for a job in Singapore, people will ask you, what is your level of proficiency? Can you function in our company in which English is the only language that is used for communication among the people in the workplace? So they need to know what your level is. You can't say, I am elementary, I am intermediate. What do you mean by intermediate? This is where we need to look at a possible standard that we might want to adopt. And this standard is called CEFR. CEFR stands for Common European Framework of Reference. Ini adalah standar kemampuan berbahasa asing, bukan bahasa Inggris saja ya. So all types of foreign language standards. I know that Thailand has just adopted this standard. Sudah. Now Thailand has a national standard of English language proficiency for their teachers and for their students. The same way, Vietnam adopted the same standard some 10 or 15 years ago. Malaysia is doing the same thing. Indonesia belum. Baru dibahas, baru didiskusikan, baru diwacanakan. Baru akan diprojekkan. So we are still a long way, but I think the trend, if you're looking about the trend and the future, this is going to be the trend. We can't say no. It is happening and we have to follow what is happening in the region. Okay, what does it look like? It's quite similar to what we saw earlier on in terms of proficiency categories. Ada 3. The most elementary is called basic proficiency or basic speaker. The middle one is called independent speakers, and the highest is proficient speakers. And each category is further subdivided into 2 levels. This is what it looks like. Ya, jadi ada basic 1, basic 2 begitu. So A1, A2, the most basic proficiency. And then we have B1 and B2, which is right in the middle, and then C1 and C2. I think you're familiar with this framework. She is from Sweden, and Sweden is in Africa. Sweden is in Europa. And Sweden is part of the European Union. And I think Sweden is probably adopting that framework as well. What I like about this framework is that it is already well established, and you can just go to the website and find out what it means to be an A1 speaker, what it means to be an A2 speaker, what it means to be an intermediate or independent users of English. I am giving you an example here of a B2, B2. So remember A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2. So it's right there, high intermediate. This is what a B2 person should be able to do with the language, whether it is English, whether it is French, Arabic, whatever. Look at this. I have highlighted the keywords there. Complex text. So if you are able only to read very simple text, then you are not a B2 student. You're not. You still have some ways to go. I am using B2 as an example because to me, or to many other people, to many other language teacher educators in Asia, I think B2 would be considered, saya ulang ya, B2 would be considered a minimum standard for English language teachers. B2. So look at this description. If you feel that, hey, I'm a B2 speaker, then you're fine. If you're not there, then you are not fine yet. But you need to get there at some point. Complex text, you can talk about both concrete and abstract topics. You can interact with people on a variety of topics. You can't just say, my name is Siti. I am from Semarang. I have 2 children. That is very simple. I don't think you are a B2 user yet. And fluently and spontaneously as well. And a wide range of subjects. So this is what I like about CFR. It gives you a very, very clear descriptions about what you are able to do and what you are not able to do. Very, very important. Keep in mind. Let us now look at English language proficiency among teachers in Indonesia. Okay, before I show you some data, where are they? Oh, they're there. Where are they? Where are they in terms of, A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2? Where? Okay, let's do it together. Together ya, diucapkan bareng-bareng begitu ya. A1, A2, atau B1, B2, atau C1, C2. 3, 2, 1. One more time. 3, 2, 1. Kurang keras. 3, 2, 1. So it's more like in the B range. Yeah. Okay, let me show you some data. I don't have a lot of data, but I think some other people whom I know here from Indonesia have some interesting data. But what I do know is that we do not have a standardized national data. Tidak ada. Adanya data yang yes, it's everywhere, but at the same time, it's nowhere. I know Pak Fuad has some data, and some other people have some data. And what I do know is generally people from Java, you, are better off compared to people from other countries. Yeah? What does it mean to you? What it means to you is that since though in those places you are better off than those people, if you want to feel good about yourself, you should move to those places, to Sulawesi or to Irian Jaya. You'll be the top #1 teacher there. I do have some data, which I'm going to share with you from RSBI school. These are schools, the international schools, who once upon a time were there, but now the government decided that it should not be there. So it's dead. I have some interesting data here. There's a lot of data there. I'm not going to ask you to read all the figures there. Let me just show you the left-hand side, which is proficiency level, according to, I think this is according to TOEIC. And then on the right-hand side, English teachers in 2008. There are about 20,000+ teachers who took the test. This is data from DIGNAS. You can see very clearly here, if you require teachers to be proficient, very proficient in English, then only 5%, yang kuning itu ya, only 5% pass the test basically, the rest no. If you lower the standard a little bit, then you get about basic working and intermediate, which is about, berapa itu tadi? 21 plus 39. You add them up, what do you get? I shouldn't have asked you. I mean, English teachers are not good with maths. And that's one of the reasons when I speak to teachers, why do you decide to study English or to become English teachers? Because I'm not good at maths. So the middle one, if you lower the standard a little bit, the middle one is okay. But look at the last two, elementary and novice. That's like 30+% of these teachers should not be teaching maths or sciences using English. They can't do it. I think it's very cruel to teach your students a content subject using language that you are not very proficient in. I think that's very cruel. Okay, so that is some data from Indonesia. But you don't have to feel bad about that. The data is interesting, and if you look at the region, Vietnam, Thailand, and so on, you will find that they have similar challenges, they have similar problems as well. So last year, 2017, at the Asia TEFL conference happening, it took place in Yogyakarta, 2017. I put together a team of experts from several countries in Asia. Yang sebelah kiri sendiri adalah Ibu Suwarsih Madya. Ibu Suwarsih Madya from UNY. Seorang tokoh di bidang pendidikan bahasa Inggris di Indonesia, Ibu Suwarsih Madya. Next to him is a very senior English language educator from Japan. The name is Masaki Oda. And then the middle one is your compatriot from Thailand. It's Bapak Pragasit. Can you say that name again?
Pragasit.
Pragasit. In Thailand, you put the stress on the last syllable. It's not Pragasit, but it's Pragasit, like that. You don't say Coca-Cola, but you have to say
Coca-Cola.
There you go. Cola, like that. Last syllable is very important. Coca-Cola. Enak sekali di Thailand itu. And they smile all the time. I just learned earlier today that in Thailand, the language has a lot of open vowels or open syllables. Cola. Like that. And then next to him, next to the middle one is a lady from Malaysia. And the last person on the right-hand side is Professor Levan Khan from Vietnam. So I had them together and I asked them to talk about language teacher proficiencies in their own countries. Very interesting data. And after you see the data, you will agree with me that, oh, okay, Indonesia is not too bad. You're happy, right? When people say Indonesia is not too bad. I think you should be very unhappy because not too bad means not too good as well. This is Thailand. This is data from information from Professor Pragasit. He teaches at Thammasat University, one of the best universities in in Thailand. This is what he says. Just look at the highlighted text. Only 20% were teaching class levels for which they were both qualified and competent. I don't know whether this data represents the whole of Thailand, but at least there was one study in Thailand done recently that indicated that proficiency of the teachers is a major issue. Let's look at Vietnam. I mentioned earlier on that in Vietnam, the government was aware of the problem and they started some 10 years ago. Now they have a national foreign language policy called Project 2020. It started about 10 years ago. So it's going to end very soon. But I hear that the government is going to expand to further extend the project for another 5 years because they have seen some results, some positive results of the policy. Look at this is data about the teachers of English at the primary, lower secondary, and also upper secondary level. The first set of data here. So it's about 6-7 years ago. Only 17% of the primary school teachers met the national foreign language proficiency requirement. At the secondary level, only 13%. At the upper secondary, itu seperti high school, itu hanya 8%. And then the government organized massive retraining of the teachers to improve on their pedagogy and also their English language proficiency. And there was some significant, important improvement from 2011 to 2014 and 2015. Look at that. Yeah, sudah sampai di tengah. Still not there yet, but I think the government has been trying very hard to encourage teachers to work on their proficiency. In Malaysia, again, Malaysia has also recently adopted the CEFR standard. Now they have a very clear goals in mind in terms of teaching and the learning of English in schools and also for other people at the university level. I think the most relevant for us in language teacher education is the last one, teacher education. Teacher education are people like us in teacher education, Ibu Jessica and other Ibu Mila, Eva, Pak Dodi and some other people. These are people in language teacher education. We train teachers like me. I train teachers as well. The government in Malaysia has decided that for you to become a language teacher educator, for you to go through the English language teacher education program, before you graduate, you need to show evidence that your level is C1, C1. Unimas akan memberikan hadiah untuk mahasiswa yang lulus dengan C1 atau C2. Hadiahnya sedang didiskusikan oleh Pak Rektor. It's true, and it's the stick and the carrot approach to education. If you do well, you get rewarded. If you don't do well, I don't know what to do with you. In Malaysia, for example, recently the government decided to reward teachers who are able to show evidence that their proficiency is at C1. They get some 5,000 ringgit. Okay, we are done with teachers, yeah? And now we are going to look at students. Students, we are going to look at some data about the population in the region in terms of their English language proficiency. I have some data from EF, English First. Regularly, every year, they publish international data of the English language proficiency of countries in all over the world. Now, here are some countries in Asia. Ada 10, ya, countries in Asia. Look at these countries, Korea, Taiwan, Japan, Malaysia, Indonesia, and all that. Where do you put Indonesia? Although Ajahn Angkana shared with you earlier on that guessing is not good, but this time I'm going to tell you guessing is good. How would you rate or rank order these countries in terms of their proficiency level? Which one comes first? Which one comes next? And so on. Can you tell your neighbor very quickly? Tell your neighbor. Singapore is number 1. number two is Singapore. number three is Singapore. Pak Rector told me a very interesting joke earlier today. Is Singapore still poor? It took me a while to process that information. Is Singapore still poor? Or is it Singapore, or is it rich now? Okay, number 1. What's number 1? Number 1 is Singapore. Number 2. Number 3. Number 4. Number 10. There you go. Singapore is number 1. Number 2 is Malaysia. Number 3 is the Philippines. 5 is Hong Kong. 6 is South Korea. 7 is Vietnam. 8, I don't know. Indonesia is number 10. Wait. Again, don't feel too bad. Here is one question for you. If you know the answer, then you get to have lunch early. How many countries are there in Asia? How many countries? Okay, very good answer. More than 10. So Indonesia is not too bad because it's number 10. There are other countries that are way below Indonesia. Countries like Pakistan, for example. Countries like Cambodia is way below Indonesia. So don't feel too bad. But don't feel too good as well. Number 10 is not that wonderful. Okay, let me give you additional evidence. Ada bukti baru. Ini menarik sekali. This is very interesting because this is very much related to Professor Angkana's presentation just now. It's about vocabulary. There was one study, research study that was done by Ibu dosen. I don't know where she is from. I don't know whether she is still teaching, but she did her study in New Zealand when she was doing a master's degree with John Reed at the University of Auckland, 1999. And this study was widely cited by many vocabulary researchers. The study collected data from non-English major students from a number of universities in East Java, dari Jawa Timur. And the researchers found that the vocabulary size of the students on average were about 1,226. Now, if you have been listening very carefully to Professor Angkana's presentation, then you would be able to say that this is, number 1, enough. Number 2, not enough. Number 3, not very enough. Which one? A, B, or C? Not enough. Just not enough or not very enough? I don't know if you can say that. Not very. Can you say, Tom, can you say not very enough? You can't say that. But it's not enough. I think it's understandable. It's not enough. Clearly not enough. I like that. Clearly not enough. So don't come to Singapore for English. Clearly, obviously, it's not enough. You need at least 2,000 to 3,000 for spoken proficiency in the English language. If you want to be able to read texts, especially ESP, or English for Special Purposes text, you need more words. This is a piece of research that I really like because it tells you exactly how many words you need. So this is additional information that I can share with you. It's about text comprehension or reading comprehension depends. I need to read this very carefully, and you have to read this together with me. Okay, 3, 2, 1. We are going to read this together. Text comprehension together, please. heavily on detailed knowledge of most of the words in the text. Good students. Well done. Sometimes it's a good thing to ask your students to repeat after you, but not too often. Yeah, if you do that too often, it's not good. So the key word here is you need to know most of the words. And she and also Thomas earlier shared with you, most means 98 or 99% of the words. Tidak cukup hanya 90% of the words. 98 or 99% of the words. That's a lot. The other one is you need to know these words really, 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 really well. If not, then your comprehension will be very superficial. Your understanding will be very shallow, will be, not enough. Clearly, not very good. And the article says you need about 3,000 to 5,000 words to read non-specialist text. Non-specialist adalah general purpose. Pada umumnya, baca surat kabar bisa. 3 to 5,000. 3 is like very, very, very minimum. 5,000 is good. If you know a bit more words, like 8,000, that's even better. So 8,000 words will be the level that C1 and C2 people usually have acquired. Now here is additional data. I think if you've done your statistics, you will understand this very easily. The relationship between vocabulary and language skills, your ability to use language. Look at the correlation. Pay attention in particular to the last one, the correlation, the relationship between vocabulary size and writing. If you find writing very difficult, especially if you are working on your thesis or dissertation at the moment, and if you feel that it's so painful to write, maybe it's because you do not have enough words in the first place. It's because you don't know these words very well. That's why it's so painful. This data shows you very clearly that you need a sizable vocabulary. So Nurweni's research that shows that students only know about 1,200 words is way, way, way not enough. That's another way of saying it. It's way, 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 way not enough. Clearly not enough. Are you seriously from Myanmar? How did you get here? Did you fly? You're from Flores. Oh, you're studying at UNS. Oh, okay. So you flew from Solo to Semarang? You flew? Okay, next one. So if you look at what proficiency is, there are 4 indicators, remember? Accuracy, and then fluency, and then complexity, and also appropriacy. And then we look at the proficiency region. So we're not doing too badly, but we're not too doing well either. Next one is we're going to look at this. This is probably the most important of my presentation today. Why is proficiency important? Let me start with a broader overview of why proficiency generally is important for people in the world. English plays such an important role in the world that people have done research and looked at the relationship between high proficiency and your quality, your life quality. Here, English language proficiency is related, is correlated with HDI index. What is HDI? Human Development Index. Human Development Index. Itu antara lain adalah level of education. If you have a high level of English proficiency, chances are you are more educated. That's what it means. Literacy. Ini penting juga nih, literacy. If you are educated in English language and your proficiency is quite high, that means that your literacy level tends to be higher as well. Again, Pak Rector had a very interesting quote earlier today that reading is the very first thing that got mentioned in the Quran. That reading is so important. And yet, at the same time, we know that in Indonesia, literacy is not wonderful. Literacy is I didn't need to tell you, literacy level in Indonesia, tidak di Jawa, is quite low. Yeah, a lot of international test comparisons show that Indonesia has consistently performed poorly, almost at the bottom. So it's number 2 at the bottom in terms of literacy level. Literacy itu tidak hanya sekedar bisa membaca, tapi juga memahami. So I am really, really worried as a language educator. I'm really worried that, you know, there are many things that we can do to help our students, our children, to increase their level of literacy. Life expectancy tends to be higher as well. And finally, your standards of living. If you have a good level of proficiency in English, chances are you'll be able to get a better job, either in Indonesia or overseas. Itu alasan ekonomi pada umumnya ya, akan sosial ekonomi bisa meningkat. Now how about this? Pedagogical reason. We are all teachers. Minimally, there are 3 types of knowledge that we must acquire, and we must acquire these very well. Number 1 is knowledge in English or proficiency in English. Number 2 is knowledge about English. It's important too because we need to be able to explain certain grammatical rules. Not all the time, but if there is a need, then you can do that. You can explain the morphological components of a vocabulary word, and we also need to know how to teach English well in the classroom. So I would like to claim that proficiency is a sine qua non of effective teaching. Sine qua non adalah prerequisite, a precondition. What it means is this: if you have proficiency, you have a good chance of being able to become effective teachers. But it doesn't mean that if you are proficient in English, you'll become a wonderful teacher. No, I'm not saying that. But in order for you to become effective English language teachers, you need to reach a certain level of proficiency. Otherwise, you won't be able to do it. It's a sine qua non, it's a precondition, it's a prerequisite to becoming effective English teachers. Apakah ada datanya? Ada. Let me share with you a piece of data from New Zealand. It's a very interesting study. The research involves a number of foreign language teachers in New Zealand. Foreign here refers to not English, but other foreign languages that are taught in New Zealand, including bahasa Indonesia, bahasa Arab atau bahasa Mandarin, bahasa Prancis, dan sebagainya. And the researcher divided the groups, the participants, into 2. The higher ability in terms of proficiency and the lower proficiency teachers. And they asked a very important questions. Are these 2 groups of teachers, one high, one not so high, are they equally effective in their teaching? That is what they wanted to find out. Now, in order to answer that questions, they needed to operationalize in some way what is meant by effective teaching. Gitu ya ceritanya ya. Okay, let's look at this. So the researcher decided to look at these 7 dimensions of teaching of an effective foreign language teachers in the classroom. Number 1, whether or not the teacher is able to exploit to the fullest the target language resources. Number 2, whether the teachers are able to provide appropriate language models in terms of pronunciation, in terms of competent usage of the English language. Number 3, in terms of the teacher's ability to provide feedback. Very important skill that the teacher must have, and so on and so forth. Number 7 is interesting, ability to improvise. Itu artinya adalah apakah seorang guru itu bisa keluar jalur gitu loh. Tidak sesuai dengan lesson plan. Misalnya, you have designed a lesson plan, but somewhere in the middle you feel that the lesson is not going anywhere. You feel that, I don't think I need to go on. I think I need to change the activities. I need to expand the activities. That is the ability to improvise. Tidak sesuai dengan lesson plan karena somewhere in the middle the students are not paying attention. Maybe the students find the lesson boring and so on and so forth. That is a very, very important skill of a teacher. So are you with me? So these are the 7 dimensions of an effective English teacher. There are more, ada lain lagi ya. But the researcher decided to focus on these 7 dimensions. Dan kemudian dilihat apakah ada bedanya antara higher proficiency teachers and lower proficiency teachers. Hasilnya seperti apa? What is the result like? There you go. The higher proficiency foreign language teachers are able to do all 7 satisfactorily. 7, all 7, okay, they pass. But for the lower proficiency teachers, they are able to do only 5 aspects, and they perform very badly on the last 2. Menjelaskan nggak jelas, begitu. Nomor 6. Terus improvisation minimal or non-existent. So ada bedanya ya. Jadi proficiency memang punya peran yang cukup penting yang bisa membedakan seseorang itu bisa mengajar dengan baik atau tidak. Here is another piece of study in Hong Kong, very interesting, but this one shows, the study shows that proficiency actually makes no difference. Interesting, isn't it? Proficiency makes no difference. Other things are more important according to this study. So the researcher interviewed Hong Kong college English teachers because they wanted to find out the relationship between proficiency and teaching effectiveness. There was no relationship. Artinya apa ini? Nah, ini menarik sekali. Now this is interesting. Guru bahasa Inggris di Hong Kong itu sudah memiliki proficiency sekitar IELTS 7. Now this is very interesting. And because of that, because after you have reached a certain level of proficiency, proficiency no longer plays an important role. There are other things that are more important. And what are these other things that are more important? Things like the teacher's ability to motivate, to engage the students in the classroom becomes more important than proficiency. But the message here is very clear. You need to have a certain threshold level of proficiency before other things can, take over and become important in your teaching. This is very, very interesting. Hong Kong has its own English language test for English teachers. If you are in Hong Kong and if you want to become English teachers, it is not enough for you to just graduate from a faculty of education. Tidak cukup. You need to take a test, proficiency test, and you need to reach a certain standard. If you fall below that standard, you are not able to get a job anywhere in Hong Kong. The regulation was enforced about 15 years ago. At first, all teachers there were not very happy because they were not able to reach that standard. But now everyone is happy because they know that that is the expectations. So if you want to work in Hong Kong, you need to reach IELTS 7, or in their test, it's called LPAT test. It's a very interesting test. Now, this is what the future is going to be like for language teacher education in many places in Asia. Same thing is likely to happen in Indonesia as well. That before you graduate, how old are you? Year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4 students? Are you a teacher? You're a student, undergraduate or graduate? Sudah terlambat postgraduate. If you're an undergraduate student majoring in English language education, then you or your institutions will not let you go free or pass or graduate before you meet the exit requirement. Sekarang ini sudah ada entry requirements ya. Semua yang mau masuk disaringkan begitu kan. Exitnya nggak ada. Exit is seperti sepak bola itu loh. Ada goalkeepersnya. We do not have the goalkeepers because we don't have a standard. Because we don't have a national standard. So maybe Unimas can start the ball rolling. So starting next year, if you don't pass the test, you can't graduate. That's a bit cruel. Terakhir, it's almost time. It's almost 12 o'clock according to my watch. Almost 12. The last one is how to improve proficiency. I think Tom did a good job just now, and Ibu Angkana also did a good job. You need to do a lot of things. Let me share with you a very, very important and insightful piece of information. Ada seorang peneliti namanya Ortega, namanya Lourdes Ortega. She is a researcher. She is a second language researcher, and she's done a lot of work. And recently, she did a paper in which she evaluated, dia mengevaluasi sejumlah teori-teori second language acquisition theories. Ada 10 atau 15 begitu. Dari 15 itu dipilah-pilah. Dipilah-pilah mana yang kayaknya penting untuk language teaching, mana yang kayaknya tidak begitu penting. So she came up with these classifications. There are those theories that seem to have no relevance or no effect in terms of English language teaching in the classroom. Number 2, there are some theories that may probably have some effect. Dan yang ketiga adalah theories that have beneficial effects in language teaching. Let me share with you the last category. Those theories that have beneficial effect. Ini, ada 3. Yang satu adalah input theory. Thomas' presentation is about input. Comprehensible input. Extensive reading is about providing a lot of language input to your students. Number 2 is interaction theory. How you use that input for talking, for writing, for interacting with other people. And number 1 is skill learning theory. Skill learning theory is very simple. You learn to read. You learn to read by, please finish my sentence. You learn to read by, one more time. You learn, I know it's 12 o'clock. You learn to read by, okay, maybe before that. You learn to walk by walking. You learn to swim by swimming. Itu skill learning theory. You learn to read by reading. You learn to listen by listening. You learn to speak by, not true. In English language learning, that's not how it works. The speaking and the writing come after. The speaking and the writing are the effect, not the cause. The cause of acquisition is reading and listening. So that is what the input theory, interaction theory, and skill learning theory is all about. Let me skip this. Ini. Just reinforcing what Thomas said early on. In 2005, Alan Mady is one of the top English language specialists in the world, and he said this: extensive reading is perhaps the single most important way to improve language proficiency. Yuk kita ulang bareng-bareng yuk. Extensive reading, 1, 2, 3. Extensive reading is perhaps the single most important to improve language proficiency. And say that, I believe that. Thank you. Yes, thank you. And Alan Mady is not the only person. This is another very, very good guy. Name is Paul Nation. And the guy here, right, listening to him at the Asia TEFL conference is me. I was there on the front row. And Paul Nation said the same thing. The number one way, let's do it one more time. The number one way to improve proficiency is via extensive reading. Dua orang. Tiga. Here is a better quote. The best way, we'll read it together. The best way I can tell that most of the people here are teachers and most of the people here are students. No, students follow orders. Teachers don't. And that's the guy who said that. Okay, I think I'm going to skip this. And I'm going to leave you with this very, very important quote from the book. This book has nothing to do with English language learning, but I learned so much from this book. The book is The Power of Habit. And in that book, the author mentions keystone habits. Now let's look at the definition of keystone habits. Keystone habits can spark chain reactions that help other good habits to take hold. Jadi kunci. Yeah, if you exercise regularly, I think that is a very important keystone habit, because if you exercise regularly, you will also pay attention to your health. You will be very careful in what you eat, and there are a lot of other things that can follow. So keystone habit. I have a feeling that proficiency is one of those keystone habits in English language teaching. If you are proficient in English, you are able to explain things clearly in the classroom. You are able to provide a lot of good examples. You are able to assess your students accurately. You are able to engage students in very, very interesting discussions and learning in the classroom, and so on, and so on, and so on, and so on. So, last slide. So here is a summary of my presentation today. Proficiency is a sine qua non. Remember that word. Sine qua non is a prerequisite. You need to have it. If you don't have it, it's very difficult for you to become an effective teacher. You can be a good teacher. You can be an inspiring teacher. No issue. But you may not be an effective teacher. Beda, nggak sama. Inspiring teacher is a teacher that everyone loves in the classroom. But what everyone loves in the classroom may not be an indicator that you are an effective language educator. Tidak sama. Effective means you are able to do a good job teaching your students how to use English for communication. Number two, I think Indonesia will need to work very hard to develop a national proficiency framework. We don't have one yet. The last two, this is my suggestions for pre-service. I think we need more stringent exit requirements. Kalau yang sudah terlanjur menjadi guru bahasa Inggris, I think the government will have to work very seriously in upgrading, improving the proficiency of English teachers in Indonesia. This is my last slide. In July, I will be going to several places doing a roadshow. It's called Extensive Reading Roadshow. The roadshow begins at ONS Solo. It continues in Salatiga, and then it goes all the way to Jakarta. Pay a little, like 75,000. That's to pay for your snack and your drink. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of my presentation. I would like to thank you very much for listening to me. And lunch is going to be served very soon. But you have to convince Pak Rektor that you have been paying attention. Otherwise, you will not get your lunch ticket.
Okay.
If you want to, you can clap your hands now.
Thank you, Professor Willie. Okay, I just been called by the staff. The food is ongoing, so don't worry. Everyone's got their meal very soon, but we still have for about 15 minutes to discuss. So I'd like to invite 3 questioners, and the rest, we're really sorry. Probably you can directly, you can just Googling and find out the information about him, and then you can also ask questions to him through email. Yeah. So for now, 3 questioners, please. 1 in the left side. Okay, 2 over there. So we go for 2 first. Oh, 3 with you. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. My name Arham. I'm an affiliation from Unhas, University Hasanuddin, Makassar, South Sulawesi. I'm also one of TV members, Teacher Voice member. You have to CPR standard. As as the expert or as educators, I would like to hear from you, Prof. Willy. Why in Indonesia has not have a standardized as of a speaker level? Maybe do you have some advices to find out way out our problem? Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yes, thank you, Pa. A quick response to that. The answer is, I don't know actually. I don't know why we don't have a standard yet. But I do know that our colleagues in Indonesia, teman-teman yang mengajar bahasa Prancis, they have already adopted the CFR standard. They have, sudah. So I was a bit surprised when I met a French teacher from UPI a few months ago. She said, "Pa, we are already using it." But for some reasons, our English language colleagues have not used CFR. Instead, they have been focusing their attention on TOEFL and IELTS and other kind of tests. These tests are fine, but they're not the most wonderful. They're not the most wonderful. Itu bahasa halusnya begitu. They're not the most wonderful. In fact, they are not wonderful. They are good as a requirement for you if you want to study in universities in Australia, in New Zealand, in the UK, and other places. But they don't tell you very much about your proficiency. What you need is a general English language proficiency plus your classroom language proficiency. As a teacher, you need to use English efficiently and effectively in the classroom for teaching purposes. Jadi kalau boleh saya ulang, I think we need a B1 maybe plus specialization in classroom language. Kalau bisa B2 plus specialization in classroom language. I think I mentioned the test in Hong Kong. The test in Hong Kong is very, very special because the test includes two major components. Number one, your proficiency in English. Number dua adalah your ability to use English for teaching purposes. So you have to do a lesson demonstration in the classroom using English. So when you pass that test, that means that your English is good, nomor satu. Yang kedua, you are able to use that knowledge for teaching purposes. Dua hal itu ya, bagus sekali. So again, the answer is, I don't know why. Tadi satu lagi.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so that is the answer.
Okay, that's the answer. So
maybe I
he
should.
doesn't know.
Maybe I should apa itu ikut pilkada. Karena yang bisa bikin aturan itu adalah orang-orang politik, politisi yang bikin aturan.
Policy maker.
Policy makers. I think I need to sign up for the next pilkada.
Go for it. Thank you. Okay, let's go to the next question. We go to that round first.
Student or teacher? Both.
Both. Thanks for the chance. My name is Nur Hamida from ONS. So I'm asking about switching in class. So sometimes, but often students switch is triggered by teachers' example. Some experts said that teachers induced code switching. So my question is, to what certain point teachers can free themselves from such agony? So because we know that teachers has low level proficiency most.
Okay, so this is about switching from English to the local language.
Local.
Okay, I have no objections. You can switch from English to Bahasa Indonesia in the classroom, but the percentage, the portion should be quite minimal. How minimal is minimal? 10% maybe? 15%? As long as you have very strong pedagogical reasons why you switch. I think there's been a lot of studies that shows that teachers very often switch to students' local language when, number one, when they want to explain things very quickly. Because if they use English, it will take them like 1 whole hour to explain, like subjunctive clause. How are you going to explain subjunctive clause in English? Even if you try to explain subjunctive clauses in English, you will end up confusing your students. Langsung aja terjemahkan, subjunctive clause adalah klausal subjunctive. Sudah selesai. And then you move on. You need to have good reasons. And your reason should be pedagogically sound. Tidak asal-asal, today I want to use Japanese. Tomorrow I want to use Sundanese. Why? Because I like it. You can't. I don't think you can do that. Remember, the classroom, for many of your students, the classroom is probably the only place. It's not true anymore, but to a large extent, the classroom is the only place where the students get to hear good English. I pray very hard that the students will hear a lot of good English in the classroom. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you very much for your question. Last one.
Thank you. Last one.
Ibu Grace.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry, I forget because I used to address you, Mr. Yao, when I used to be his students in Akaba. So, Pak Willy, okay. I'm not going to ask you a question, but I'm going to give you some untold information. I saw that in your presentation that you lack of the data, national data of the teachers. You can open it on hasil rekapitulasi UKG 2015. That is the national teachers competency examination, the whole nation, including me. I'm in there on 2015, and the result is like this. We have the passing grade of the UKG Uji Kompetensi Guru. The national passing grade is 55. And then the result is only 7 provinces. Only 7 provinces that can surpass the passing grade. Yeah, that is Yogyakarta, Central Java, DKI Jakarta, East Java, Bali, Bangka Belitung, and West Java. Yeah, the highest one is went to the Yogyakarta with 62.58. 58.
What about the lowest?
Yeah.
The lowest.
No, the
bawah?
highest.
Yes. What
yeah.
about the lowest yang paling
The
bawah?
lowest, here there is a, I mean graphic, but I cannot see because it's too little. You can check it on, and then after that, the result, the government held some kind of workshop, but the workshop is using e-learning. E-learning, we called it Guru Pembelajar, Guru Pembelajar program. Okay, but we cannot make sure or guarantee that the result will be very good because there are still teachers who cannot improve their learning. You know, because like the teacher who teaches, it is not the expert, but it is the teacher who has, they called it high proficiency, teaching their peers. Yeah, but we cannot guarantee how high is the proficiency of those teachers.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank
and
you,
then,
Grace.
Yeah, we got the can I
Questions?
add one?
Yes.
Not
Okay.
question.
Okay.
Okay. And then the teacher who get the certificate fee from the government to expand their proficiency, yeah, because how you see how many teachers are
Yes,
willingly to involve.
Yes,
Yeah.
they use the money to buy cars
And
or
then
new houses.
the self-pride, sir, the self-pride, they feel that the government hurt their pride if they have to follow such as
Training
to
program.
fall, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
so they can see they
Yes.
will be revealed their
Yes.
weakness. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, the reason I asked her about the lowest performing province is that so that you know and you know where to go in order to shine there. But anyway, yes, very interesting data. Two things that I want to say. Number one, good that we have some data. Number one. Number two, I think we need to take it one step further. 55 doesn't mean anything. 55 doesn't tell you about what the teachers are able to do with English. So that is something that, you know, language teacher, language teacher education providers seperti kita. IKIP ya, dulu namanya IKIP, sekarang namanya Fakultas Pendidikan. English language teaching providers, I think they must work very hard to develop, not just wait for the governments to give you the test. You need to develop your own tests. And your test should be more informative, should be better than those tests that you have seen, like 55. What does it mean? 60, what does it mean? Doesn't tell you anything. We need a very clear descriptors of what students, what teachers level are at, and you should be able to say, okay, this teacher is able to do this and that, but he is not able to do A, B, and C. So I'm going to send you for training so that you can improve on, you know, things that you are not very good at. Again, I would like to suggest that we adopt CEFR. I think CEFR is there. Jangan merasa bahwa CEFR itu buatan Eropa. Tidak. I think it's a very good standard because it has been used by many other institutions for any language proficiency assessments in the world. Tidak hanya di Malaysia atau di Vietnam, but in any many other places in the world. The criteria are very clear, the descriptors are very clear. You just need to develop your own test according to the dimensions, of the standards.
Okay, thank you, Pak Willy. Give applause to Pak Willy. Okay.
If you want to have lunch now, give me a louder applause.
Yeah, exactly, because the chef just calling and then say that the food is ready. So we come to the final session for today. After this, you're going to have a parallel sessions, and we would like to inform you as well that our conference also in live streaming. So after this, if you think that you still can access all of the session that we have, you can just Googling or type in YouTube, the keyword is ELLiC, and then you still can have the session that we have today. So for the last session, we believe that it's like a calling for us, that we have to aware, that we have to know whether we already have our own proficiency or not. If we still on, let's say, A1, then we have to boost ourselves. Otherwise, it seems like very cruel if we teach our students, but we don't know where is actually our position. Yeah. So again, let's give a big applause for our session and Prof. Willy. So that's all for our last session. Have a great time after this and enjoy the meal. For those who are not from Semarang, if you feel you can travel to have a city tour, you can just contact the committee. The students probably they can help you to escort you to have a city tour later on. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Willie, for the outstanding presentation. And please remain on the stage because we would like to present a token of appreciation. And we would like to invite Professor Dr. Jamaluddin Darwis, MA, okay, to hand the token to our speaker, Dr. Willie. Okay, thank you very much. Well, ladies and gentlemen, before we proceed to the next agenda, which is the parallelization held in different rooms, we would like to invite you to have pre-prepare and lunch in the next room for 60 minutes from now. Okay, but before that, let me inform you that the certificate will be distributed in the end of this event by submitting the form of evaluation that will be submitted to you, okay, on parallelization as well. Okay, and finally, ladies and gentlemen, please be back to your own room for presenting your paper at 1:30. Thank you very much and see you.